Live broadcast of Naruto begins with a movie The Death of Naruto. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 376. Shikamaru wiped off the fake wound on his face and said calmly, "I was just pretending to be killed by you. The blood on your weapon is not mine, but your companion's blood. Does Hiden's curse only kill one person at a time? Or did he remove it by himself? If he was still in the curse state just now, Shikamaru's knife would have cut off half of Kokuzu's neck. From the fact that the guy casually launched his arm, even if he cut his neck, it is likely that only those tentacles would be sprayed out. It should be fine if he sews it again. The only weak spot on the body is the heart, the others are all replaceable parts. This survival-specific transformation is too unfair. Anyone can do it, as long as you have the chance. Draw some of Kokuzu's blood and put it in a capsule, and then I will be responsible for dealing with you if you take the capsule." Shikamaru recalled the previous operation, with a smug expression on his face. "This is our battle plan." On the other side, Kokuzu, whose heart was damaged again, fell to the ground without breath. Kakashi endured the pain and tore off the tentacle that pierced his chest, and at the same time rejected Ano's proposal to perform medical treatment on him, because the other two black monsters were already rushing towards him. Seeing this, Chaji immediately stepped forward to block the two people behind him, performed the super multiplication technique to transform into a giant, and then hit the two monsters heavily with a super push, instantly shattering a large area of land. I'm curious, if Kokuzu's body dies, will his consciousness be transferred to those tentacle monsters? How can there be an answer to this question when we can't tell how he thinks? If Kakashi were to destroy Kokuzu's body right now, I wonder what would happen. Unexpectedly, these tentacle monsters were very resistant to simple attacks. After taking a single attack from Chaji, they still rushed out of his attack range alive and well, and stabbed directly into Kokuzu's body, bringing him back to life. All the sutures on his body were ripped open, and a large number of tentacles stretched out from his body. Kokuzu was like a tattered ragdoll, moving his completely monsterized body, and said murderously, "Two hearts were destroyed. It's been a long time since I last saw it." In the forest, Hiden, who understood the ins and outs of this plan, laughed softly. "Ha ha ha ha, all was using the same technique. Even I, who's not very smart, can see the characteristics of this technique. The compatibility is too bad. A simple power attack is not very effective against those tentacle monsters. Kokuzu's body is basically spliced together. Maybe not just the heart, the other parts may have been obtained from others. Did Kokuzu take all three hearts back into his body? It seems a little safer, but it also makes him easier to be killed at once. The binding force of this jutsu is not as strong as before. I can move now." Hiden stretched his neck, pulled out the spikes on his chest and slowly stood up. Every time it is bound, the strength and duration of the jutsu will weaken. In other words, the effect of this shadow ninjutsu will decrease with the increase in the number of times it is used. Your chakra is almost at its limit, hey. As if to confirm what Hiden said, Shikamaru suddenly knelt on one knee with some weakness. At this time, Hiden had moved in front of Shikamaru, laughing wildly and raised the spikes in his hand towards him. Does the Nara clan's secret technique have such a weakness? This is a new discovery, but there are very few people who can maintain the ability to counterattack after being controlled by shadows many times. For masters who can do it, it doesn't matter whether they know this weakness or not. Another weakness that the weak and the strong can't use. I won't mention other conveniences, but Fitoin's physical strength is really strong. He relies entirely on brute force to act. Shikamaru is pretending again. In this situation, no matter how weak he pretends to be, I won't believe it. It seems that there are other arrangements, one after another. I vaguely remember that the closer the distance of this shadowhead strangling technique, the stronger the binding force. It seems that Fitoin has fallen into the trap again. On the other side, Kokuzu stretched his tentacles into the ground and caught Kakashi and the other two unexpectedly. In order to vent his anger, Kokuzu gave up the idea of digging out their hearts and directly controlled the two monster masks on his shoulders to open their mouths. A combined attack of fire style and wind style was launched at zero range. The three were about to be killed, but suddenly, wind style, Rasengan, water style, breaking the flow, hurricane water vortex technique, 2, A raging water tornado blocked the three at the critical moment. Amid the mist, Naruto's voice could be heard. "Sorry, we're late." When the mist cleared, the new Team 7 led by Yamato appeared majestically. Kakashi, Choji, and Ino breathed a sigh of relief at the same time. Oh. There's also Naruto's part. Naruto and the others are also good at seizing the right moment to appear. They are very outspoken and full of momentum. Ha ha ha, look at Kakashi's confused expression. Why is he always saved by some young people today? Is it because of my age? This feeling of being surpassed by students one by one is really complicated. Kakashi sighed, and Sakura beside him said faintly, if Kakashi teacher had wasted less time on those pornographic books, he wouldn't have become like that on the sky curtain. Sakura, that's a bit. Stop. I don't want to argue with the teacher. You discuss this topic, this is just a student's ordinary concern. It's the first time I've seen such an embarrassed senior. This enemy is quite strong. Yamato glanced at Kakashi and sighed. Kokuzu shifted his attention to the four new people. Another group of strange guys came, and there is already a scarred one. Naruto, who was covered in dust, looked in poor condition. He turned his head to ask Choji next to him, where's Shikamaru? He went to fight with another enemy somewhere else. Choji replied. Kakashi summoned the ninja dog Puck, and asked Yamato to arrange two people to support Shikamaru. Chapter 377. So Sakura and Sai headed for the forest under Yamato's command. Watching them act on their own, Kokuzu snorted coldly, HMPH, what can a mob do? It just gives me more hearts to choose from. Two of his hearts have been destroyed, why is he still so arrogant now? Maybe Kokuzu feels a sense of superiority in front of the Konoha ninjas. After all, he has fought against the first generation of Hokage, right? Generally, people who brag about their achievements to show that they are powerful are not actually that powerful, just like Langaya Avalanche who has been bragging about winning against Kakashi. Leave it to me next. Naruto took a few steps forward and faced Kokuzu with a firm expression. Looking at his scarred palm, Kakashi asked, is it done? Not yet, only half done, but... Yamato paused, then smiled expectantly. Forget it, you should see for yourself, he is completely different from the previous Naruto. In the forest, standing in front of Shikamaru with his spike held high, Hidden laughed wildly and said, ha 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 ha. If you also believe in the evil god, maybe there will be a way to save yourself. If you turn to the evil god and reform from now on, I will never let you go, idiot. Hidden roared and stabbed Shikamaru fiercely. What kind of moves did Naruto master that he could be described as two completely different people? Sage mode? Tailed beast transformation. Yamato is so confident even though he knows nothing about the enemy. I want to see what Naruto has learned. There is no suspense on Hidden's side. He is completely stepping into Shikamaru's trap. He wants to play with Shikamaru's mentality, but he doesn't know that he is an expert in this field. As soon as Hidden made a move, Shikamaru immediately raised his hand and opened his palm towards him, saying calmly, I don't need to let that thing let me go. Shadow gathering technique. The 5 fingers of the open palm closed together, and the shadow wrapped around Hidden stretched out a large number of tentacle-like shadows to hook the surrounding ropes, and all the detonating tags on them gathered on Hidden at once. HMPH, I still have some chakra left. Shikamaru smiled complacently, and then threw the short knife in his hand towards a circular mark drawn on the ground not far away from him. Hidden looked at the cracks on the mark extending towards his feet with a distorted face, and then a deep pit was revealed below. It's really a fake. In addition to making the distance closer to enhance the effect of the technique, it also made Hidden walk into the trap on his own initiative. What is playing with the enemy? You want to completely destroy Hidden's body with detonating tags? Why don't you stick a few on his head? He will definitely not survive if his head is shattered. You guys are really good at giving ideas. Isn't it enough to blow up the body and bury it deep underground? After all, the ability of immortality is too unrealistic. It's better to completely destroy it. Tisk. I won't die so easily. Hidden twisted his mouth and looked fierce. Even if he fell into hell, he would climb out again under the protection of the evil god. Hidden, who was filled with faith, didn't care about the decline shown by himself on the sky, but Kokuzu saw it clearly. Under Shikamaru's calculation, Hidden on the sky had no chance of survival. I don't know whether I should be thankful that this guy is thick-skinned or that his brain is out of control and he can't understand the situation. At least when he encounters these opponents on the sky again in the future, Hiden will definitely be able to maintain his fighting spirit and his combat effectiveness will not be affected much. Looking at Hiden hanging in the pit out of thin air, Shikamaru said that this was a trap specially prepared for him. It was not until this moment that Hiden realized Shikamaru's calculations belatedly. When you curse others, you will also suffer. Picking up the cigarette box on the ground, Shikamaru lit a cigarette and said, "My teacher was killed by your curse, so don't even think about living easily. This is where you will be buried." However, I didn't expect that even in such a situation, Hiden still had an unruly attitude, and even threatened in return, "Hey, I won't die. Even if my body is shattered, as long as my head is still there, I will definitely crawl out of here and bite off your throat." You only understand Shikamaru's power when you are about to die. It turns out that you didn't take him seriously before. If you take it a little more seriously, even if the ending may still be the same, at least it should be able to last longer and bring more trouble to Shikamaru. It feels like Shikamaru has completely turned into a smoker. He smokes as soon as he relaxes. After all, he is about to send his enemy to the west. It's not okay to smoke a cigarette to miss his teacher. Hiden is really talkative. What he said clearly shows that his weakness is his head. What can he do with only his head left? Can he grow a new body? Or can he recover by attaching it to someone else's body? Shikamaru exhaled a puff of smoke, looked at a group of deer approaching from the surroundings, and introduced, "This forest is a special place in the Land of Fire. Only people from our clan are allowed to enter. No one else can. My clan will always be watching you." After saying this, Shikamaru was about to kill Hiden, but suddenly he felt someone on his shoulder. Shikamaru turned around and saw that it was the hazy phantom of Asuma. "Well done, Shikamaru," Asuma chuckled, and Shikamaru smiled in relief. My will of fire is entrusted to you." Asuma's phantom turned into smoke and dissipated. "Is there such a place in the Land of Fire?" "It's the clan land of the Nara clan, where they cultivate medicinal herbs. But I remember that there doesn't seem to be much defense there, so can't others get in? It seems to be just a simple barrier, with Konoha patrols patrolling from time to time on the periphery. Apart from that, there are only the deer in the forest, but those deer are not ninja beasts, so if others want to enter the forest, it's unlikely that they will be stopped." Without knowing the exact location, no one would go to Nara's medicinal garden to poach people. It's enough to have these human-like deer guarding and tipping off people. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 378. Is this Asuma Shikamaru's hallucination or something, Soul? Could it be that Shikamaru is right, and Asuma has been with him all this time? Aren't the Kato clan good at spiritual transformation ninjutsu? Maybe Asuma has dabbled in it, so the soul can stay in the world. No. I think this is just Shikamaru's hallucination, just like those stream of consciousness scenes of Naruto and Gaara, Naruto and Sasuke before. Whatever it is, Shikamaru has completed his mission, and Asuma should rest in peace. I have mixed feelings. Asuma exhaled a puff of smoke, his expression a little subtle. I was thinking about how to change your lazy and carefree personality. Now it seems that I may have to die once to achieve this goal. Don't joke like that. I don't think this kind of growth is something to be happy about. Shikamaru stared at Asuma with dead eyes. I have suffered once on the sky, so I will definitely not repeat the same mistake. So even if you die again, it will have no other effect except making everyone sad. Besides, don't you want to see your own children? Oh, children and the like, there's still no sign of them. Asuma scratched his head, his expression was a little embarrassed, but also with a little expectation. Listening to the conversation between the two, Ino smiled and said, "So Asuma-sensei, you have to work hard and pay more attention to Teacher Hong. The three of us will also work hard to grow and won't let you worry too much?" Chaji patted his belly and said, "Yes. When Asuma-sensei's child is born, I will take him to eat the most delicious food and let him eat as much as she wants." "What kind of feast should a newborn baby eat?" "I think you want to eat, Chaji." Looking at the noisy three people, Asuma smiled with relief, and then made up his mind to see the appearance of his child being born. "Goodbye, teacher." Shikamaru threw the cigarette in his hand towards Hiden, and the detonating tag was instantly ignited. The violent explosion instantly engulfed Hiden's body, blowing it into pieces, and all the broken limbs and debris fell into the bottom of the deep pit. Looking at Shikamaru standing on the edge of the pit and looking down, Hiden, who was left with only a head, grinned and said in a crazy tone, "Haha. Ho ha ho ha. What a loss of composure, I was actually made into this state." However, when Hiden noticed the indifferent look in Shikamaru's eyes when he was looking at him, his expression was stunned at first, and then he shouted hysterically, "Lord Evil God will definitely not let you go. Just wait for the severe punishment of the evil god cult." Hiden's mentality exploded here at the end. Although the harsh words are very sharp, anyone with a little bit of brains should know what situation he's in. He has no choice but to go crazy. What evil god cult? Evil god cult? Although I have heard of this sect, but at present, apart from Hiden, the representative figure, are there any other people worthy of praise? According to the records, the evil god cult, the Shinto cult, is a secret society active in Yugakure. Although it is not well known in the ninja world, there have been dozens of incidents suspected to be related to them in the past 10 years, but I don't think I've heard much about them in the past 2 years. I think with Fedouin's mental state of going crazy from time to time, even if this evil cult knows that he has been killed, no one will come to avenge him. That's nothing to be afraid of. My faith is different from yours. Shikamaru calmly took out a kunai tied with a detonating tag. I believe in the will of fire. Your current god is neither that incompetent evil god nor anyone else, but me. I will punish you. After saying this, Shikamaru threw a kunai towards the wall of the pit, and the detonating tag exploded directly, and a huge amount of rubble fell to the bottom of the pit. Fedouin kept saying all kinds of cruel words to vent his final madness until he was completely buried. Shikamaru ended the battle. Meanwhile, Kakuzu looked at Naruto's shadow clones and said in a low voice, "Multiple shadow clones. So that's how it is. You are the Nine-Tails Jinchuuriki. Achievement achieved. One person killed a member of Akatsuki alone. And he was far inferior to the opponent in strength. Tisk, you didn't mention the sacrifices made to achieve this achievement. Without the intelligence collected in the last battle, do you think Shikamaru could have done this? Except for the battles that rely on hard power to crush, the victory or defeat of other battles must be evaluated comprehensively to be reasonable. Intelligence, strategy adding the execution. Since Shikamaru defeated Hiden here, it means that he has surpassed the opponent in all aspects. There is no such thing as a situation where he is far inferior to the opponent and then defeats the strong with the weak. Kakuzu identified Naruto's identity by watching him use his shadow clones. Is the fighting method famous? Yes, after all, no one would use shadow clones as cannon fodder or human wave tactics, except Naruto. After Yamato asked and learned from Kakashi about Kakuzu's fighting mode and the information that he needed to kill him 3 more times, Naruto directly sent 2 shadow clones to charge, but they couldn't even get close to the opponent and were tied up by Kakuzu's tentacles and defeated halfway. Naruto looked serious about this, and after experiencing the memories transmitted from the shadow clones, he analyzed that at least 3 shadow clones were needed to lure the enemy. Kakashi also saw Naruto's intention, so he let him act. So Naruto conjured up 3 shadow clones, asked one of them to be on guard, and the other 2 cooperated with the original body to perform a half-completed new move. I just criticized Naruto's use of shadow clones, but he actually used it correctly here. Collecting intelligence, carefully analyzing, formulating tactics, and acting cautiously, isn't this what we discussed before about Naruto's growth? It actually came true. Strange, although I don't know the exact time point here. It must be before the 4th World War. Why doesn't Naruto look like this later? Because he is stronger later, he can just crush the enemy without thinking. Seriously. That's it. Look at Naruto's preparations. Isn't this the Rasenshuriken? Chapter 379. It was when I just learned the Rasenshuriken. But, even if he learned this move, it seems a bit exaggerated to describe Naruto as a completely different person. This Rasenshuriken is said to be an advanced form of the Rasengan, but so far, it seems that he has not shown any results. As far as I can remember, he dodged it when fighting Sadara, resisted it when fighting the 3rd Raikage, and absorbed it when fighting the Centipede. It really didn't show any good performance. A sharp buzzing sound and powerful chakra came out from Naruto's hand, which reminded Kakashi of the result of his previous training when he used the Rasengan to collide with a prototype of this move, and at that moment, he saw the 4th Hokage from Naruto's back. The air turned into a sharp blade and crushed all the sand and stone fragments involved. Kakuzu's pupils shrank slightly, and he looked at the scene in front of him with cold sweat. What's the matter with that technique? It will be troublesome if I get hit. I must not get hit. Naruto looked at Kokuzu with a determined face, raised his right hand high, and the huge spiral shuriken spun rapidly in his palm. Kakashi also knows the Rasengan. Why did Naruto tell the fourth Hokage that only he and Jiraiya could use it? It's okay, Kakashi knows so many ninjutsu anyway, it doesn't matter if he lacks this one trick. Did Kakashi see the shadow of the fourth Hokage from Naruto's back? Now seeing this kind of picture, there are hints in both obvious and hidden ways. In the Hokage's office, Naruto, who was lying on the sofa, woke up faintly, and as soon as he opened his eyes, he saw the back of the fourth Hokage overlapping with his own figure on the sky. Awake. How do you feel now? Keep your emotions a little bit, don't be affected by the nine tails. Jiraiya looked at him and said softly. Naruto slowly stood up, looking at the sky curtain with a dazed expression, but soon came back to his senses and replied lightly, I'm fine. Originally wanted to comfort Naruto, but Jiraiya opened his mouth but couldn't say anything, so he changed his mind and said, if you have any questions, I will answer them for you after the sky curtain ends, and tell you the story of your name by the way. My name. Naruto was indeed attracted by this topic. Jiraiya nodded and replied, your name was given by me, but at the same time, it was also given by your father. Father. Fourth Hokage. Kokuzu was actually scared by Naruto's Rasen Shuriken. This move seems to be stronger than expected. A normal analysis will tell you that this move must be very strong, but the enemies we faced before just happened to restrain this move. The move was formed, and Naruto's three shadow clones rushed up first. Choji was about to step forward to help, but was quickly stopped by Yamato. Is this the power of the Nine Tails Jinchuriki? Only monsters can use this technique. Looking at the shadow clones that were attacking from three directions, Kokuzu easily controlled the first one with his tentacles, and then opened his mouth to the two shadow clones approaching from the left and right sides, controlling the two masks on his shoulders, and launched wind and fire escape at the same time to easily defeat them. However, after Kokuzu completed this set of attacks, he was not careful for a moment, and Naruto's real body approached behind him. Kokuzu suddenly felt bad and could only turn around reluctantly, but it was too late to dodge. An old monster who has lived for who knows how long actually said that Naruto is a monster. How absurd. Well, Jinchuriki is synonymous with monster in the eyes of the world, what's there to criticize? But Naruto is good looking. How can a guy like Kokuzu who is neither human nor ghost say that about him? Tisk, why are there fans showing off again? I hate those of you who only look at faces the most. Well, what happened to Kokuzu? Why was it so easy for Naruto to get close to him? Before, where is the strength shown? Did Naruto just say that three shadow clones can hold the opponent back? This strength assessment is too accurate. With just a little information provided by Kakashi and the test of two shadow clones, he figured it out. Once this brain is online, it is too smart, but unexpectedly, this foolproof attack collapsed on its own when it was about to hit Kokuzu. The Konoha group, who were originally expecting, including the parties involved, Kokuzu and Naruto, were stunned. Not to mention Choji and Ino, who didn't understand the situation. Yamato, who participated in the whole process, immediately understood that this attack failed, as expected of an unexpected ninja. Yamato, let's go. Kakashi was the first to respond. He called out to Yamato and rushed forward. Kokuzu, who had reacted at this time, had tied up Naruto with his tentacles and was about to take out his heart. Fortunately, the sharp wooden pillar stabbed by Yamato interrupted his action. Kakashi also rushed to the two of them and cut off Kokuzu's tentacles with Raikiri to save Naruto. Hey! The attack disappeared. This is out of control. It should be because he just learned it, and the chakra output is unbalanced. But he can fail in this situation. How can I say it? He is worthy of being Naruto. Ha. Even Kokuzu was stunned. He might be wondering if he has suffered other injuries. Kakashi knows Naruto well and reacted first. He might have been prepared when Naruto just started to attack. Naruto is considered an unexpected ninja, but Kakashi himself is not surprised at all. Humans are really adaptable. Is Kokuzu addicted to hearts? He had given up on digging out Kakashi and the others' hearts before, so why did he want to dig out Naruto's heart now? If he wanted to kill Naruto, he could have achieved his goal with one ninjutsu at that distance, but the fact that he was obsessed with digging out his heart is very telling. Kokuzu, sorry, It's an occupational disease. An occupational disease? Is this guy too much? Isn't the goal of Akatsuki the tail beast? They should have captured the Jinchuriki alive. If they dug out Naruto's heart, he would have died. A master who claims to have fought with the first Hokage and has rich combat experience and who always calls himself a brat would actually make such a mistake. It's too wrong, because his two hearts were destroyed. His mentality is a bit broken. Chapter 380. Kakuzu lowered his eyes slightly. He had to admit that he was most likely out of his mind on the sky screen. Not only did he forget the purpose of the organization, but he was also obsessed with digging out the opponent's heart at that critical moment. Although he could explain his behavior by saying that Kakashi was very fast, the enemy was very strong, and he had to go all out to win, Kakuzu knew very well that in the past battles, his desire for the heart had affected his battle thinking. If he didn't adjust his mindset in response to this, someone might use this to deal with him in the future. This is the value of the Sky Curtain. Although it leaked my own information, it also made me see my own shortcomings. The future victory or failure is still unknown. Naruto was annoyed after the failed attack, but Ino was not surprised at all. You did it so well for nothing. It is indeed your usual style, Naruto. Isn't it called Rasenshuriken? I thought it could be thrown out. Do you have to rush over to attack? Choji also followed up with a knife. Naruto was immediately furious when he heard it. Stop talking nonsense. If he can hide it, it will definitely be enough for him. Yamato explained the reason for Naruto. The name of the move can be ignored because it is a close-range attack ninjutsu, so the shadow clone is the basic condition to lure the enemy, and the new technique has just been developed, so the duration is short and unstable. In a word, it is still difficult to defeat Kakuzu with this immature move. Ino looked like she expected it. It seems that Naruto's unreliability is deeply rooted in people's minds. Isn't that everyone's impression of Naruto at the beginning? It's only reflected in small things. Naruto is still very reliable in big things. I want to complain about what Choji said. It's called Rasenshuriken, but how can it not be thrown out? It's unrealistic to want to throw out that kind of high-density chakra group. Without the control of the caster, it will immediately disintegrate once thrown out. If Rasenshuriken can be thrown, then Rasengan can also be thrown. Before completing the prerequisite skills, it's better to use it close to the enemy. After calming down his complicated mood, Naruto shifted his attention to the sky. Although he didn't understand the cause and effect because of his coma, Naruto could still see at a glance that Kakuzu was an enemy. Then, after seeing the discussion about the Rasenshuriken in the bullet screen, Naruto looked at Jiraiya and asked, "Sexy Sage, is the Rasengan a jutsu that can be thrown, like Sasuke's fire escape?" Well, it's theoretically possible, but it requires strong chakra control. Jiraiya looked at Naruto steadily, and was impressed by how quickly he recovered, and then said, "You don't have to think about this for the time being. What you have to do now is to master the one-handed Rasengan first, then the Rasenshuriken, and finally consider the problem of throwing it out." Kakuzu also saw the problem with this move, and based on his own experience, he quickly came up with a strategy to deal with it. The nine-tailed imp's technique does look very strong, but as long as you keep a distance from it, it's fine. Avoid close combat and always pay attention to the main body of the spell, and it's no big deal. After adjusting his condition, Naruto slowly stood up, looked directly at Kakuzu and said firmly, "Please let me try again. Let's use the new technique to decide the winner." Ino and Choji immediately expressed their opposition when they heard it, and Kakashi didn't quite agree, because they had the advantage in numbers at the moment, and the chances of winning with a coordinated attack were greater, so there was no need for Naruto to take this risk. "Teacher Kakashi, do you remember what you said to me during training?" Naruto suddenly said, "You said that I was the only one who could surpass the fourth Hokage, and you firmly believed in it." Kakuzu saw it very clearly. This just completed half of the Rasenshuriken is so unstable that it can be ignored with a casual pull. Even with this level, Yamato actually evaluated it as a completely different person. How weak must Naruto be in his eyes? I have a feeling that Kakashi should be convinced. Naruto should deal with Kakuzu alone later. Kakuzu should thank Naruto for his stubbornness, otherwise they would rush at him now. It seems that even if they all come together, Kakuzu is not without the ability to fight. There are only 4 people in Konoha who can be considered as fighting, and Kakuzu still has 3 lives, so he can definitely fight. I'm curious, is Kakashi's encouragement to Naruto sincere or bragging? If he is sincere, On what basis did he make the judgment that Naruto can surpass the fourth Hokage? Because Naruto is the son of the fourth Hokage. I.e. answer, ha. It's probably half and half true and half bragging. To make an analogy, it's like my teacher always told me that you will become the face of Iwagakure sooner or later, and now I am the gate guard of Iwagakure, because I am his son. Do you believe that I can surpass him? Naruto muttered. Jiraiya looked at him with a serious expression. The first half of this sentence is redundant. No matter what, everyone believes that you can surpass the fourth Hokage, whether it's Kakashi or me, or the fourth Hokage himself, sexy immortal. Are you worried that I will feel that the trust I have gained is because of my identity as the son of the fourth Hokage, and become self-destructive? Naruto lowered his eyes slightly, with an ambiguous smile on his face. Actually, I feel that this is not bad, because I am someone's son and I have gained everyone's trust. I can rely on someone. Naruto. Jiraiya opened his mouth. Why did he feel that this guy suddenly got it? Is this what Naruto can say? Even if he has experienced a complicated mental journey, he shouldn't have grown up so thoroughly. Feeling Naruto's determination, everyone fell silent. Naruto continued, indeed, team spirit is very important. I also understand that this is very risky, but this time I want to try to get through this dangerous pass alone, because if I don't do this, I will always be a child who never grows up. Closing his eyes, thinking of Sasuke going forward alone, Naruto asked, so, please let me take this risk. Faced with this willful request, out of trust in Naruto, Kakashi allowed him to take the risk again after symbolically discussing with Yamato. So Naruto started to act, and Kokuzu saw this and turned into a long-range attack form, and the tentacles stretched out of his body extended a distance of more than 10 meters. Chapter 381. Even if you consider Sasuke as your rival, you don't have to imitate him in everything. Naruto's persistence is a little scary. Going on adventures alone is not the standard of growing up. On the contrary, everyone advocates cooperation. It seems that Naruto has gotten a little too obsessed with Sasuke. Naruto probably means the courage and ability to solve problems alone. Now that there are others to back him up, he plans to test his own abilities with Kokuzu. Kokuzu doesn't take them seriously, but Naruto plans to use him as a tool to gain experience. It seems that Kokuzu's tactical level has plummeted after losing 2 hearts. In this situation, wouldn't it be safer to separate one heart from the body? Although they can launch a stronger attack when concentrated together, they are also easy to be wiped out by the enemy. In fact, it's not Kokuzu's fault. After all, he is confident that he can avoid Naruto's attack, and it's understandable that he made such a choice. The few people on standby couldn't help but sweat for Naruto, but Naruto himself ignored it and calmly split into 3 shadow clones and used the Rasen Shuriken again. Then the 4 people charged towards Kokuzu again. 3 of them took the lead, and the remaining one was a little slower, maintaining the Rasen Shuriken ready to go. Looking at Naruto coming towards him, Kokuzu had no intention of fighting him. He jumped high and jumped over the 3 people in front of him, and aimed his sight at the last one. There is no need to pay attention to those shadow clones that are luring the enemy. The only target is that guy's body. As long as we destroy that technique, there is nothing to be afraid of. I told you, Kokuzu is not a tool who can't think. He knows that the 3 shadow clones in front are baits. He just needs to not bite the hook. Naruto is really not suitable for such delicate operations. It is more effective to split hundreds of shadow clones as cannon fodder. Is it that simple? Naruto can sometimes perform some good operations. By the way, is there something wrong with my understanding? If you attack from a distance, shouldn't you keep a distance from the opponent? Why do you actively approach Naruto? Kokuzu doesn't care about his face. It's too embarrassing to be run around by a junior. It's better to solve the opponent once and for all. Kokuzu, who figured this out, controlled the tentacles to extend greatly and swung them downwards. He easily knocked down Naruto with a blow that had no blind spots, and the spiral shuriken in his hand also disintegrated. However, Kokuzu had just shown a smug expression when he saw Naruto, who was knocked down by him, suddenly turned into a cloud of smoke and disappeared under the tentacles. What? Shadow clones? Kokuzu's pupils shrank slightly. At this moment, a sharp buzzing sound came from behind him. The 3 Narutos holding the Rasen Shuriken were less than half a meter away from him. Kokuzu realized belatedly that Naruto had hidden his real body in the shadow clones. Why do I feel that Kokuzu's attack mode has changed since he changed into this form? He is only using those tentacles to attack. Where are your ninjutsu? Where is the ninjutsu that just spurted out a sea of fire? In fact, Kakuzu didn't even need to avoid the 3 shadow clones in front of him. He just fired a ninjutsu directly in front of him. He didn't care about the bait body. He just attacked indiscriminately. See, he was too careless and fell into Naruto's trap. It turns out that the one behind that maintains the spiral shuriken is the bait. As long as Naruto's brain opens up, he can perform wonderful operations. Not only did he guess that the enemy had seen through his tactics, but he also used the enemy's tricks against him. I don't know who will dare to say that Naruto's brain is not good in the future. Not only did he take the risk of pretending to be a shadow clone, but he also guessed that Kakuzu's response would change due to his own tactics. He was very smart to think of these in such a short time. You must hit it. Naruto roared, and hit Kakuzu's back with his spiral shuriken. Kakuzu was blown away without any resistance. Then the condensed chakra burst out instantly, forming a huge energy ball on the ground. The aftermath alone made the spectators unable to open their eyes. Countless needle-like attacks completely submerged Kakuzu's whole body. When the effect of the ninjutsu ended, a big hole was dug directly on the ground. What an amazing number of attacks, even the Sharingan can't see through it. What a terrible technique. Looking at Kakuzu, who fell from the air and had no good meat on his body, Kakashi commented secretly. At this time, Naruto also fell from the air exhausted. He lay on the ground in a mess, his eyes slightly open, with a relaxed smile on his face. Success. Super high density micro attack. It turns out that this is the attack method of the spiral shuriken. From a long distance perspective, I thought it was the chakra distortion and explosion that caused the damage. I see. No wonder it couldn't cause effective damage when fighting the third Raikage. No matter how high the density of this micro attack is, it is difficult to break through the third Raikage's lightning armor. I asked you to put all 3 hearts in your body, but now they are all gone. Another strong man was defeated by Naruto. On the other side, Sakura and Sony rushed to the edge of the forest at full speed, and then saw Shikamaru walking out accompanied by a deer. Reinforcements, but you are a step late. Shikamaru said to the two. Hearing this, Sakura and Sony were surprised that he solved the members of Akatsuki alone. Putting the lighter back into the ninja bag, Shikamaru tugged at his vest and said lightly, "It's okay, because this time it's an enemy that must be defeated." Looking at Shikamaru's determined eyes, Sakura understood that he had walked out of depression and decadence, and couldn't help but smile with relief. Since the situation on the other side was unclear, the 3 of them did not delay and returned together. It's hard to say about Kakuzu, but Hidden has been led by the nose from beginning to end, just because his information was mastered by Shikamaru. It's almost comparable to Hidden's long-range curse. If the people of the Nara family get the information, they won't even know how they died. By the way, Sakura and Sony were on the road the whole time. When they go back, won't Naruto's situation be solved? Chapter 382. I didn't even have to do anything. I got a mission for free. Choji helped Naruto up and Ino gave him emergency treatment. The 2 of them, along with Yamato, expressed admiration for his unexpected tactics. Naruto was humble at this moment, but it could also be because he was exhausted from trying too hard. Looking at him being supported by Choji with a weak face, Kakashi secretly sighed. You find the next breakthrough point immediately after failure, plus strong self-confidence. Naruto, you have really become stronger. You can actually perform the technique that the 4th Hokage failed to complete to this extent. It seems that it's almost time for the generation to change. He has surpassed me. Do you feel that Naruto, who has always been targeting you, is now becoming stronger and stronger? Right, Sasuke. The 4th Hokage couldn't complete this technique. Is this Rasenshuriken so difficult? Isn't it just Rasengan plus a property change? How could the 4th Hokage not think of it? Isn't it just Rasengan plus a property change? It's easy to say, but to add property changes to that kind of high-density chakra group, you can imagine the chakra control and precision required. Do you think you can use it just by talking? Maybe the 4th Hokage's thinking hasn't changed. After all, the Rasengan was developed based on the standard of the no-seal ninjutsu from the beginning, so the advanced moves must also develop in this direction. Unlike Naruto, who needs the assistance of the shadow clone from the beginning, it is reasonable for him to use the Rasenshuriken. According to Naruto's approach, if he only needs to add one more shadow clone, he can add the property change of fire to the Rasenshuriken and directly make this move. Awesome. He even gave him a name. Naruto, did you see that? Next, practice this Rasen Shuriken. Jiraiya frowned and looked at Naruto. Don't listen to those people's nonsense. From the perspective of power, the Rasen Shuriken is enough to deal with most enemies. Even the tailed beasts can cause damage, so you don't need to consider practicing more powerful moves in a short period of time. How come Kakashi is the same as Naruto, always thinking of Sasuke? After all, everyone knows that Naruto will die with Sasuke. With the entanglement between the two, as long as Naruto is mentioned, Sasuke will inevitably be mentioned, and vice versa. As their teacher, Kakashi can naturally see more connections between them. Connections, entanglements, one by one. Do you like to involve me with that last place guy so much? Sasuke put on a sour face. Since he learned the truth of the past, he no longer wanted to be influenced by others. He just wanted to be his own boss and decide which way he should go. But as the sky curtain lit up again and again, Sasuke always felt that his relationship with Naruto was gradually changing towards the situation on the sky curtain, so he now particularly disliked those remarks that involved him and Naruto together. And the culprit of all this is undoubtedly the yellow-haired man who is inexplicably obsessed with him. If he wants to completely change this, he must solve this source. Cannot use force, otherwise it will definitely turn into the situation on the sky that wants to drag me to death, so I have to change that guy's mind through words. But, thinking of Naruto's record of using words on the sky, Sasuke suddenly had a headache. After completing Naruto's treatment, Yamato called everyone to prepare to return to Konoha, waiting for Kakashi to complete the aftermath. Kakashi jumped down the deep pit and landed next to Kakuzu. Noticing his approach, Kakuzu, who was lying on the ground and dying, said intermittently, "Damn. I actually fell too, you little brats." No wonder, in your eyes who once fought with the first generation of Hokage, we may all be little brats, but in my eyes, you are just an old man out of touch with the times. So you are dying here now. Kakashi's hands flashed with lightning, and he said calmly, "The new generation will surpass you one after another. Kakashi is so bad to kill people and destroy their hearts. HMPH, let this old guy act like he's taking advantage of his age? That's the right thing to do. It's not like the longer you live, the stronger you become." I don't understand what Kakuzu's arrogance comes from. In the ninja world, being able to live to Kakuzu's age is enough to be proud of, but looking down on the younger generation is unacceptable. The scene changes, and the two teams return to the Hokage's office to hand over the task to Tsunade. After encouraging them for a few words, Tsunade declared the mission successfully completed. Under the setting sun, in front of Asuma's tombstone, Hong was alone, silently looking at the name on the tombstone. "Is it okay for you to walk around like this?" Shikamaru came over and put a pack of cigarettes in front of Asuma's tomb. "You can't find anyone to play Shaji with you. Asuma's most proud disciple is you, so you must be very lonely," Hong said with a sad face. With his back to her, Shikamaru, half crouching in front of the tombstone, lowered his eyelids and replied, "He taught me a lot, all kinds of big and small things, even boring trivia. Shaji is one of them." Why does this Konoha Johnny named Hong always look sick? It's normal for her body to be affected after her man died. Shikamaru's temperament feels like he has become an adult all of a sudden. No one wants to experience this kind of forced growth. It's just self-deception to say that I'm not lonely, but in this era, I can't always be like a child, crying easily. After a moment of silence, Shikamaru continued, "I am always willful and always talk about how much trouble I have. I often made mistakes because of this when I was a child. Whenever this happened, Asuma would always come forward to protect me. Maybe that's why, even though he is a weird teacher who is hard to understand, he is a very handsome man to me. So, it's my turn this time." Shikamaru stood up, turned his head and looked at his belly that was being gently stroked by Hong, with a slight smile on his face. "When the child is born, I will be the teacher who protects him this time." Shikamaru showed an unprecedented bright smile. "For this, I must become a super handsome adult." Chapter 383. The sadness was swept away. Hong closed her eyes, lowered her head and smiled. Thank you. It turns out that there is a posthumous child. For us ninjas, this ending is already quite perfect. So this is the reason why Asuma said he quit smoking before. Although he didn't see the birth of the child, his ninja way and will can be passed on, so he has no regrets. To be honest, it's really handsome, the moment when the boy grows up to be an adult. It's really handsome, Shikamaru. I didn't expect you to say such a cheesy thing. I know, smiled teasingly. Why don't you say it again in front of Asuma-sensei now? Stop talking nonsense. Shikamaru covered his face with a red face. He looked quite serious on the sky screen, but he felt so awkward no matter how he looked at it. Ha ha ha, stop teasing him, I know. Asuma couldn't help laughing and said, as a teacher, I'm really happy to hear Shikamaru's true words in this way. I also hope that you can all be like him and become an adult who protects the younger generation and is worthy of others' support. Although those words are really corny. Asuma. Even you're like this. Back home, Shikamaru played shogi with his father. During the chat, he mentioned what Asuma had taught him before, about the objects that each chess piece refers to in Konoha. Narashikoku looked at Shikamaru and asked with a slightly serious expression, then who do you think the jade refers to? After a moment of silence, Shikamaru smiled and replied, the children who shoulder the future of Konoha, that is the jade. You know it very well, the king's hand. Ah. With your ability, you are still far from protecting the jade, keep working hard to improve. Damn it. The children who shoulder the future, is this the answer to the previous whisper? The answer to this kind of a question is very subjective. If it were a war, who would have time to consider what kind of jade the children are? If they were not sent to the battlefield as cannon fodder, the village might be gone. Let's not talk about this kind of forced choice. If you want to avoid this situation, don't start a war easily. In the Pure Land, Senju Hashirama suddenly lowered his head in frustration. Tobirama, do you think I did something wrong? The original intention of my founding Konoha was to prevent those young children from entering the battlefield, but judging from the situation on the sky, this approach has obviously failed. Would it be better if Madara had led Konoha? Brother. Don't say such discouraging words. Senju Tobirama stared at Senju Hashirama with sharp eyes. You are just a person after all. No matter how strong you are just a human being who will grow old, get sick and die. The world cannot develop in the direction you expect in every detail. Besides, your ideas have always been naive, so don't think about these problems that bother you. Senju Hashirama's brain is slow, but it doesn't mean he is really a fool, so he heard the subtext of his brother's words. Isn't it just that he is often confused when his brain is not bright, so Senju Hashirama feels even more depressed. The sky darkened, and when it lit up again, it showed a green forest. In a dense forest, 7 figures wearing Akatsuki robes looked at the high wall not far ahead. Among the 7 people, the bald strong man Shirato Pain picked up the girl-shaped animal path Pain and threw her out like a cannonball. Then, the animal path jumped over the wall and rushed into the barrier. The moment he landed, he performed the summoning technique and summoned the other 5 Pains except Zyanin. Disperse. At the command of Heavenly Path Pain, the 6 figures scattered. Shirato Pain took the lead and directly pulled out half of his arm and fired micro-missiles indiscriminately at the surroundings. The violent explosion instantly engulfed a large area of the surrounding buildings. It's Akatsuki again, but there are 7 of them this time. The place they invaded looks like Konoha from the architectural style. Hiss. Is it Konoha's turn this time? 7 people are confident in launching an attack. Hey. Am I dazzled? Except for the blue-haired woman, how come the other 6 people all have the Samsara eye? I thought there was only one case, but it turns out that Akatsuki can already wholesale the Samsara eye. By the way, do you think these 6 people look a bit similar? I'm not talking about their looks, but the accessories they wear. 5 of them even have the same hair color. Invading Konoha in this way? I've learned it. The point is not the invasion, but whether it can withstand Konoha's counterattack afterwards. Another person who transformed himself into a puppet, but to be honest, his attack power is really strong. A familiar scene, the previous air ninja attack on Konoha seemed to be carried out in the same way, and Konoha was caught off guard. Without any preparation, let alone the villagers, even the ninjas will inevitably suffer heavy casualties. The animal path quickly formed a seal, and 3 giant centipedes were summoned by her. Just by moving their bodies, they caused great damage to the surrounding environment. While knocking down the Konoha ninja in front of him, Shirapath calmly raised his hand towards the fire escape attacking from behind, and after swallowing the ninjutsu, he instantly came to the person who issued the ninjutsu, knocking down the number of people +1. Human Path stood behind a Konoha ninja, held his head and performed heart dive to read his mind. After confirming that there was no information about the Nine Tails, he used soul-absorbing technique to directly extract the soul of the person in his hand, silently wiping out his life. Hellpath pinched the necks of the two Konoha ninjas, and asked them where Naruto was in the face of their painful expressions. Even the summoned beasts have the Samsara eye and the black ornament. These 6 people seem to be connected in some way. Is this the ability of the Samsara eye? As the legendary sage's eye, it can't be worse than the Sharingan, right? Even the main Gekyo has all kinds of fancy abilities. What about the Samsara eye? It's the ability to absorb ninjutsu again. As expected, not even a normal person has it. If you think about it this way, do normal people have the ability to join the Akatsuki organization? What did this long-haired guy do again? It looks like he can read minds, and the thing he drew out can't be a soul. Chapter 384. Oh my god. The third Hokage fought so hard to seal the souls of Orochimaru's arms, but this guy just took his hands back and a soul was pulled out. This mind-reading skill is amazing. Can the Yamanaka clan, who are good at mental ninjutsu, reach this level? Damn. These can't be the abilities of the Samsara eye. How many clans' secret skills are sewn together? After all, it's the eyes of the legendary god of creation. It would be abnormal if it can't even reach this level. Nagato, if the information about your ability is leaked, Konan, who is heading to the hidden cloud village with Nagato, said with a worried expression. Sitting on the summoning bird, Nagato shook his head gently. Don't worry, Konan, the exposure of my ability information will not have much impact on my combat performance. After all, I am the master of these abilities. I can basically guess the coping strategies that others can come up with. Just protect my body and the Hell Road, and the Heaven Road. Knowing that Nagato has made preparations for the response, Konan was silent for a moment and then asked, then, Nagato, do we really have to follow Madara Afei's plan? I don't know his true identity, but since he dared to propose the plan to capture the tailed beast, it proves that he must have a backup plan, so that he has the confidence to win in the competition with you. The plan to capture the tailed beast must be carried out, because this is the first step to realize Yahiko's dream. Nagato said with a gloomy face, but I will not act completely according to Afei's plan. After successfully capturing the two-tailed and eight-tailed, I will make subsequent arrangements. Although Nagato showed a very confident attitude, Konan still couldn't stop worrying. The truth hidden in the eyes of the Samsara, the malicious Afei, and the members of the organization with different ideas, all of these made Xiaonan feel that she was getting further and further away from Yahiko's dream. However, since Nagato decided to do this, even if the front was hell, Xiaonan would accompany him. Xiaonan and Tendo Pain, who turned into a lot of paper, were also interrogating everywhere. Although Naruto's whereabouts had not been known to them, a large number of ninjas fell under their attack. The battle continued. Shirato's scalp unfolded like a machine, and the barrel on his head directly fired a powerful chakra cannon, which instantly raised the area within a radius of dozens of meters to the ground. The violent vibration made the Konoha ninjas far away from the center of the battlefield react, and everyone took action. The ninjas who were already near the enemy took action one after another to resist the enemy, while others who were still confused moved towards the location of familiar people. Chaoji and Ino went to meet their respective fathers. After defeating a giant centipede and saving a little girl, Sakura went to the hospital to take care of the wounded under Iruka's instructions. The war that broke out in the heart of Konoha can allow them to dispatch personnel at the fastest speed, but it will also become quite passive. There is no need to worry about the enemy, just carry out indiscriminate destruction. I am more curious about how long it has been since the air ninja attack. Konoha must have a large-scale construction after that. What you said, is Konoha definitely the final winner? The main thing is that 7 people want to defeat Konoha. This kind of thing sounds outrageous. If they can do it, then what about the sacrifices made by other ninja villages during the victory period? If they can defeat Konoha, it means that they can defeat any country in the ninja world. Could it be that Akatsuki's combat power has surpassed the 5 major ninja villages? Yahiko, Konan, Jiraiya frowned and looked at the 2 familiar disciples on the sky with a complicated expression. What happened? Why did his disciple become the leader of the terrorist organization Akatsuki? Why did Nagato Samsara appear on Yahiko? Why did he collect the tailed beasts? Where did Nagato go? A series of questions emerged in Jiraiya's mind. If it wasn't for protecting Naruto, he would have gone to the Hidden Rain village to investigate intelligence. If nothing unexpected happens, Akatsuki's base should be in the Hidden Rain village. I must find time to go there later. Looking at the village that was pushed down like a building block, Naruto's face suddenly turned red with anger, especially when he knew that these people wanted to make trouble for him. Damn it. Come at me if you have the guts. Why destroy Konoha? In the Hokage's office, Tsunade looked at the smoke-filled village outside the window with a serious face. At this time, a ninja and an Anbu appeared one after another to report the current situation. Report from the barrier class. Invaders invaded from the sky above Konoha. The barrier. The reaction of the world is one person, but immediately after that, it was confirmed that multiple places were attacked. Analysis team report. The enemy's combat power is at least 3 battalions. Akatsuki, are you finally here? Tsunade frowned, remembering what Fukasaku sage said before. It would be great if the child of prophecy is that child. I can only hope so. Sincerely. Little Jiraiya entrusted everything to him. Tsunade thought of Naoki and Kato Dan, as well as Naruto, who also got her necklace, and cheered up and issued an order, send an emergency alert, and recall Naruto. Puff. What did that Anbu say? The combat power of 3 battalions. 1 battalion is equal to 9 squads, and 3 battalions are 27 squads. The combat power of 27 squads, except for the decisive battle, there are not many battles in the war that invest so much combat power. I don't know if you noticed that some of them were operating in secret, which means they were not counted when calculating the combat power. Oh my god. At least 27 teams' combat power was deployed in the heart of Konoha. Why does it feel like Konoha might not be able to hold on? Tsunade seems to have anticipated that they would invade Konoha. Well, judging from what the toad said in her memory, it seems that Jiraiya is in danger, because Jiraiya died. Did it predict it in advance? Let's not talk about other things. What is the child of prophecy? Everything was entrusted to him by Jiraiya, so it's obvious that he refers to Naruto. The child of prophecy won't involve Shin. After all, when it comes to prophecy, it's inevitable to think of her. Of course I know that the child of prophecy refers to Naruto. What I mean is why he is called that. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 385. You ask me, who should I ask? Who knows who spread this name? Isn't Naruto in the village? Tsunade wants Naruto to deal with these invaders, just because of the child of prophecy, and Jiraiya's entrustment, just like Shikamaru, who was entrusted by Asuma before. If these people are related to Jiraiya's sacrifice, then it is natural to let Naruto take action. 7 people, the combat power of 3 battalions. It seems that our understanding of Akatsuki seems to be a little conservative. Tsunade's expression was serious, looking at Konoha, who was almost powerless on the sky, suppressing the anger in her heart. The other 4 cages no longer felt loading, because if they put themselves in their shoes, since Konoha had such a hard time resisting Akatsuki's invasion, they would surely have the same fate. I originally thought it was just a mercenary organization composed of a group of rebellious ninjas, and maybe it could only compete with our 5 major ninja villages in terms of top-level combat power, but now it seems that our assessment of the Samsara was too optimistic. Anoki responded in a deep voice. After all, it is the legendary sage's eye, and it seems that it is not impossible to have combat power that surpasses a village. Terumi Mae continued. Lord Mizukage's words are ambiguous. Are you planning to let each village increase its investment in the combat power against Akatsuki? Luo Shang asked lightly, and then the Raikage immediately objected when he heard it. Although it is indeed a bit unexpected, I don't think our plan needs to be changed for the time being. After all, the basis for our cooperation is there. Without unity, forcing further cooperation is just a waste of effort. I don't even know whether I should be wary of Akatsuki or the partner. Although it is a pity that further cooperation was not achieved, Tsunade's words were meaningful in that they could let each ninja village know the threat of Akatsuki. The commotion continued, and Hong, who was having a medical checkup at the hospital, ran out following the noise. Shikamaru arrived just in time and had just explained the situation when a giant centipede rushed towards them. After Shikamaru used the shadow seam technique and the detonating talisman to destroy the giant centipede, he anxiously said to Hong, who was unable to move, "Teacher, hurry up and go to the shelter from the underground passage. I will escort you there." If anything happens to you and the baby in your belly, I will be too ashamed to see Asuma. The continuous outbreak of battles has brought more and more wounded people to the hospital. Looking at the chaotic scene in front of her, Sakura had to cheer herself up and took over the command and treatment work in the hospital. Judging from Kurani's condition, it's only been a few months since Asuma's death. I can't figure out whether Konoha is avenging Akatsuki or Akatsuki is avenging Konoha. It feels like no matter how many low-level ninjas there are, they are useless when facing masters like Akatsuki. Instead, they have taken up a considerable amount of medical resources. That's a bit too harsh. Low-level ninjas have the least effect. They can also consume a little bit of the enemy's physical strength and chakra. If you're lucky, you may even get some ability information so that your companions can defeat the enemy later. Sakura is still very reliable in situations without Sasuke. She can calm down and give orders in such a mess. It's Sasuke's fault again. No. It's the fault of love. Nothing would happen if you didn't fall in love. Iruka, who was mediocre in strength, ran between various explosions and collapsed buildings, rescuing various injured people who couldn't move. Suddenly, a figure landed in front of Iruka. With a grim expression, Tendo pulled out a sharp black stick from his sleeves and asked directly, "Tell me, where's the Nine-Tails Jinchuriki? Otherwise, I'll kill you." Recognizing the other person's identity from the style of his clothes, Iruka thought of the high-spirited Naruto and mustered up the courage to refuse to answer. "I have nothing to say to a guy like you." "Really? Then you're useless." Without the intention of torturing the other person, Tendo stabbed Iruka straight in the face with a black stick in his hand. Just as he was about to die, a hand reached out in time to hold the black stick. It was Kakashi, who was ready for battle. You really know how to find someone. You should at least interrogate him. Even if it's a Konoha ninja who hates Naruto, his first reaction will definitely be to refuse. To obtain such confidential information in a short period of time, we probably have to rely on the guy who can read minds before. The others may just be targets to attract attention. Is it Kakashi's battle next? This time the opponent may be stronger than Kakuzu. Is it okay? Blocking the way of heaven in front of him, the Sharingan and the Samsara were staring at each other deeply. At this time, Kakashi did not dare to be distracted at all. After urging Iruka to retreat with the injured, he immediately started fighting with Tendo. He lowered his head to avoid Tendo's sweeping kick. Kakashi quickly formed a seal and used the earth flow wall to block his retreat. Then he attacked the opponent fiercely with Reikiri, but was stabbed in the shoulder by Tendo's black stick first. He inexplicably had the illusion of being stared at by the Samsara, which slowed down his attack for a moment, allowing Tendo to easily dodge it with his head turned sideways. What was that just now? Kakashi pulled away with a serious expression, and Tendo said calmly with a zombie face, "Copy ninja, Hatake Kakashi, it's a pleasure to meet you. Where is the Nine-Tails?" "It's interesting, the duel between the Sharingan and the Samsara." Did Kakashi modify the earth flow wall he performed? What are those dog heads on it? Is there any room for improvement in the defensive ninjutsu of earth flow wall? It can't be Kakashi's own bad taste. What illusion did Kakashi see just now? Do you think that the Samsara can also cast illusions? If the Uchiha clan is the descendant of the Six-Path Sage, then it is not surprising that the Samsara has the ability of the Sharingan. Don't you say that he can cast Susanoo later, so Konoha doesn't have to fight? Stupid question. Kakashi naturally didn't answer his question. He gathered his strength and fired Reikiri at Tendo again, but Tendo's eyes glared fiercely, directly bouncing Kakashi away, and even shattered the earth wall behind him. Kakashi crawled out of the ruins in a panic, looking at Tendo and the flattened land around him in doubt. What kind of technique was that just now? It feels different from a shock wave. With him as the center, everything around him was blown away. Chapter 386. In that case, how about this move? Kakashi immediately changed his attack mode and transformed Reikiri. A thunder wolf rushed towards Tendo from his palm, but it also dissipated the moment it touched the opponent. What is this? All attacks were deflected. The ability to separate attacks. I don't know how strong it is, but there should be an upper limit. Isn't this an invincible barrier? Try all the methods you have thought of to deal with this ability. I don't believe there is no weakness. From Kakashi's test, ordinary physical skills and ninjutsu will definitely not work. We have to consider illusion. If the assumption that the Rinnegan has all the abilities of the Sharingan is true, use illusion to deal with him. Anyway, I dare not use illusion in front of Uchiha. Kakashi also played some new tricks on Reikiri. That's right, he is the creator of this move, but it was carried forward by Sasuke. Kakashi looked at the sky and touched his chin. Although it was a pity that he couldn't do anything to the enemy, it was a good feeling to see that he had used a new move. Let's call him Thunder Beast Chasing Fang. We need to practice changing our forms later, not only physical attacks, but also ninjutsu can be rebounded. Kakashi was thinking about countermeasures with a headache. Before Kakashi could figure it out, Shirato landed heavily behind him and fired a micro-missile at Kakashi without saying a word. With the help of the explosion smoke, Kakashi dodged the attack and instantly came behind Shirato. He slashed at his neck with a lightning knife, but Shirato ducked his head without even looking at it. This guy was clearly looking straight ahead. Kakashi looked puzzled, and then noticed Tendao who was staring at him not far away, and remembered the information that Fukasaku Sage had passed on before. Their eyes are connected to each other, sharing each other's vision. When fighting with pain, one-on-one is the basic tactic. Each of them can only use the ability of one system, and seeing through that ability is the key. Remember. Take notes. This is the information about the Samsara Eye. The visions are connected to each other. Could it be that as long as they have the Samsara Eye, they will be connected? It's okay in battle, but it's very inconvenient at ordinary times. Strange, judging from the tone of this toad, it seems that it regards these people with the Samsara Eye as the same individual. What's going on? They look similar, have Samsara Eyes, and have the same vision. It also says that each individual can only use the power of one system. Could it be some special clone ability? This seems to explain all the problems. That is to say, the leader of Akatsuki has at least 6 abilities. If they are all very rare abilities, it will be even more difficult to deal with. The abilities that have been demonstrated so far include absorbing chakra, summoning, reading minds and extracting souls, deflecting attacks, and a puppet. There's only one ability left that I don't know the specifics of. Well, obviously they are all very powerful abilities, but I don't know if it's because I've seen too many of them. My first reaction is, nothing special. That's right, a puppet plus absorbing chakra? Isn't this the configuration of a centipede? He wants to add another one infinite chakra. Reading minds and extracting souls? I don't know if it must be in contact with others to perform. Not to mention summoning, it's a common ninjutsu. Even if it's to deflect all attacks, there have been similar examples such as the third Raikage and chakra armor before. It feels like the leader of this Akatsuki is a combination of all the enemies Naruto has encountered before. It's so funny. The battle has just begun, and it feels like the leader of this Akatsuki has been stripped naked. Even if you know the information, you still have to have the strength to deal with it. Anyway, the current situation is that Konoha has been beaten almost to pieces. No power to fight back. Nagato looked at the comments, some supporting and some opposing, expressionlessly, and said calmly, since it was the information passed by the toad, it means that it was investigated by Jiraiya teacher. He is worthy of being a teacher. Even if he died, he left me with so much trouble. Our true identity has been exposed. Even if Shianmu did not make it clear, our base in Yuan village will be found out sooner or later. In addition, your strength is also known to people. The 5 major ninja villages that feel threatened may unite because of this. Konan raised her concerns, and Nagato answered in a low voice after hearing it, that's why I agreed to Fehi's plan. No matter what, we can't go wrong if we control the power of the tailed beasts first. After that, whether it's a fight or a peace, the initiative is in our hands. You're actually fighting 6 guys like this, Jiraiya-sama. It's really too much? Kakashi felt heavy when he realized this. Shirato dodged the attack and came to Tendao, ripped off the Akatsuki robe, and after a transformation, his body grew 3 faces and 6 arms, as well as a giant soft knife with sawtooth connected to his back. Shirato completed the transformation. Tendao cooperated and reached out to Kakashi. Even though he was already on high alert, Kakashi was sucked in without any resistance. The body was sucked in. This is his ability. Kakashi quickly took out the chain hammer from the ninja tool bag, and only after wrapping it around a broken pillar behind him did he barely stop his body from being sucked in. Sure enough, Jiraiya died at the hands of these people. As strong as Jiraiya is, he can't beat the power of the Samsara Eye after all. Well, not only can it deflect attacks, but it can also suck people in. Isn't this gravity and repulsion? This is the full range of this guy's abilities. Then the other guy is the incarnation of weapons. He can transform into various weapons and equipment, but this thing can't be classified as puppetry, right? Kakashi believes that he can't defeat his opponent alone, so now he can only delay time as much as possible and hope that his companions can come to support him as soon as possible. At this time, the suction force suddenly increased, and Kakashi couldn't hold the chain hammer tightly, and was directly pierced through the chest by Shirato's soft knife. Kakashi was shocked, and then the whole person turned into a ball of lightning and rushed to Shirato. Shyandao immediately understood that this was the Thunder Shadow clone that Kakashi transformed. Chapter 387. Before Shyandao could react, two giant fists fell from the sky and hit him and Shirado. Shyandao dodged the punch by a hair's breadth, but Shirado, paralyzed by the lightning release, took the blow and was directly hit into the ground. It's only been a short while since Kakashi admitted that he was no match. Don't tell me that your opponent's ability is just so-so, right? Or let me put it another way. When ninjutsu and taijutsu are ineffective, and illusions are also likely to be ineffective, why do you think you have a chance to defeat the enemy? Simple abilities don't mean the enemy is easy to deal with. Absorption and rebound, combining attack, defense and control, can be said to have covered the most important indicators in battle. No matter how you think about it, this kind of person is the most difficult opponent. Kakashi said he had no chance of winning, but I feel like it's okay to let him keep the situation like this. Kakashi can make some unexpected responses from time to time, giving people the feeling that if he holds on for a while longer, he can turn defeat into victory in an instant as long as he finds the enemy's flaw. This person dodged the punch. Sure enough, there is a certain limit to his ability. It depends on whether Kakashi and the others can find it. Withdrawing his arms, Akimichi Choza and Chaji, father and son, fell from the air and joined the battle. That solves one problem, right, Kakashi? Choza greeted the ruins behind him. Hearing this, Kakashi emerged from the ruins and dispersed the Raikiri in his hand. I have also made some preparations, but this way I can save my chakra, which is really a great help. Kakashi walked forward, and Choza looked at him and asked, "Do you still have enough chakra?" Kakashi replied, "I used the Thunder Shadow clone, and my chakra has been consumed by more than half. To be honest, it is quite difficult to fight against such an opponent. Fortunately, I have seen through that guy's ability to some extent. Just knocks down one? Then as long as Konoha's personnel are dispatched, it will only be a matter of time to wipe out this group of people." Before, they acted as if they were in an empty space. It turns out that it was because they didn't encounter a master. Here we meet a master like Kakashi. Kakashi's strength level should be among the top ones in Konoha, but I think it should be no problem to gather 7 people. That's no problem, but the problem is that in a one-on-one situation, Konoha doesn't seem to be a match for the invaders. They need to cooperate with each other to achieve results. But after all, Konoha has a lot of people, and maybe they can repel the enemy through a war of attrition. In that case, Konoha's casualties will be huge. I don't know how many masters like Kakashi will be needed. Tendao suddenly made a move and rushed forward. The other 4 ninjas who came to support with Lingzuo, including Kakashi, attacked him at the same time. The sickle, the giant fist, the shuriken, the wind escape, the kunai, covered all the space around Tendao. Just as he was about to hide him, he heard Tendao open his mouth calmly. Shinra Tensei. The invisible barrier deflected all the attacks. Chaji, who was almost blown away, threw a kunai subconsciously, but was dodged by Tendo. Kakashi noticed this scene and thought about it. He also threw a kunai with a smoke bomb tied to it. After being deflected by Tendo, he used the smoke to open up the distance between himself, Chaji and Chaji, so as to adjust his status. So there are 6 supporters. I thought there were only 2. The opponent is not afraid of being besieged at all. Numbers don't give us any advantage here. Even if Naruto can come to the rescue, he can only play a one-on-one offensive and defensive battle with the opponent. The human wave tactics are useless. There are few times when Naruto's human wave tactics really work. It's better not to use it, and it can save some chakra. Shinra Tensei, is this the name of this ability? What type of ninjutsu is this? If it is a technique of the Rinnegan, it is a blood limit. If it is a learnable technique, it is a secret ninjutsu. Again, evaded the attack, this time it was just a few kunai. That's the reason. The technique cannot be performed continuously. There will be a little gap in the middle. There's indeed a gap, but the time is too short. The attack launched by Kakashi following behind Choji was deflected. Judging from the situation, there may only be a few seconds. So if you want to attack this guy, you can either seize this time interval to launch an attack, or use a continuous ninjutsu to keep him under attack, so that you can really do damage. At this time, Choji had time to ask about the information about Tendo, and Kakashi began to explain. That guy deflected all the attacks. His technique is centered on himself, attracting and repelling matter. In simple terms, it is like gravity and repulsion. However, that technique seems to be unable to be used continuously. It takes a short interval in between before it can be launched again. Choji poked his head out and looked at the other 4 unconscious companions nervously, not knowing what to do next. Choji also looked embarrassed. The interval between the techniques was too short. With their speed, it was unlikely to seize this opportunity, but we can only focus on this interval. Kakashi, who couldn't think of any other way for the time being, came up with a countermeasure around Tendo's weakness. I have an idea, please help me. We need some speed ninjas to deal with this guy, whether dodging or attacking, they can achieve better results. The Akimichi clan is a specialized ninja for attacking. Although their moves are powerful, it is really difficult for them to grasp such a short moment. As long as the basic conditions are met, it seems that Kakashi will stand up all of a sudden. Now it's not a one-on-one fight. If there's a chance, Kakashi will definitely try to take down the enemy. Tendo stood defenselessly in the lingering smoke. Suddenly, the ground under his feet broke apart, and Kakashi came out of the ground, holding a kunai and stabbing fiercely, but it was obvious that Kakashi's direct attack could not do anything to Tendo. Not only was his attack easily disintegrated by the opponent, and the whole person was bounced out, but he was about to die under the black stick hit by Tendo. Chapter 388. But all this was in Kakashi's plan. Just as Tendo walked in front of him and prepared to launch an attack, Choji and Choji, the father and son, transformed into rapidly rolling giant chariots and attacked from both sides of Tendo with great momentum. Double meat bomb chariots, too. Using myself as bait, probably another shadow clone. No, before I didn't know the enemy's ability. It was understandable to use shadow clones to collect intelligence, but now that most of the chakra has been consumed, I can't use it casually. Not everyone is like Naruto. Unless it's the situation when the third Hokage fought Orochimaru, no one would waste chakra like this. Using shadow clones as bait also has to consider the risk of being seen through by the enemy, not to mention that the enemy is using eye techniques now. I feel that the crushing attack of the human bomb tank is not very effective. Even the Kokuzu can withstand it without any damage by hardening it, let alone this invader. It looks intimidating, but it will be helpless against those with slightly stronger defense. It is better to just turn into a giant and swing your fist. Faced with this attack that is enough to crush a person, Tendo didn't care at all. He just crossed his arms and stretched out his palms to both sides to easily block the attacks of the two people, and then with a slight force, a strong repulsive force bounced the two people away. However, this is also a part of Kakashi's plan. The father and son, whose offensive was broken, grabbed the iron chain that Kakashi had placed on the ground in advance, tied up Tendo and restricted his movements. Kakashi seized this opportunity that he had finally created and used Reikiri towards Tendo. Just when he was about to hide him, Shirado, who had been knocked down, suddenly jumped out and blocked Kakashi's attack with his body. The upper limit of this move Shinra Tensei is still unknown, but I think it is a value that most ninjas cannot reach. This alone is enough for him to walk sideways in the ninja world. Use yourself as bait, control the opponent, and launch an attack. The plan is simple and direct, quick and effective, but what the hell is this puppet monster that has been knocked down? He was hit by a lightning escape and a heavy punch, but he can still get up. I was surprised that he acted as a shield without hesitation. Did he even give up his life for his companions? If the previous clone hypothesis is true, then he saved himself here. Don't think too much. It's too late. The three people who cooperated in the attack changed their faces at the same time. Kakashi, who reacted instantly, clenched his teeth and added a little more strength to let Reikiri penetrate Shirpath and continue to attack Tenpath, but at this moment of delay, his attack was a step slower, allowing Tenpath to recite the name of the move. Shinra Tensei. Choji instantly stood in front of Choji, and with a flash of white light, the surrounding environment was destroyed even more thoroughly. Kakashi, who was hit almost at zero distance, was thrown far away, his lower body buried in the ruins, gasping for breath, blood all over his face, unable to move. You shouldn't pretend to be unable to move this time. Shiandao walked over, looked down at Kakashi and said, I know you are not a shadow clone, I will definitely kill you, it's over. Although the defense of this move Shinra Tensei is very high, the attack seems to be a little bit worse. Kakashi almost hit his face, but he was only slightly injured after being hit. If Shinra Tensei is regarded as an invisible barrier, then its attack method is nothing more than crashing into the opponent head-on, which can be regarded as when a wall hits you head-on. The damage it can cause depends on the speed of the impact, not the hardness of the wall. Kakashi won't die here, right? This situation is not good no matter how you look at it. This time, we can't even run away. This is Konoha. No matter what the reason, Kakashi must choose to fight to the death. He said this, but out of caution, Tendo did not approach rashly. He just sucked out an iron nail from the ground, and then flicked his finger, and the iron nail shot towards Kakashi at an unimaginable speed. Kakashi, who was hit, raised his head high, and then drooped it weakly. Tendo looked at the tattered Shirato under his feet, turned around and left without looking back. Choji lay on the ground weakly and watched Tendo leave. After catching his breath, he came to Choji and cried softly. Cry later if you want, Choji. Kakashi's voice suddenly interrupted Choji's tears. If you can still move, report Pine's ability to Tsunade-sama quickly, so that we can come up with a countermeasure as soon as possible. It seems that the range of force absorbed and released can be adjusted. I wonder if it can be increased by concentrating it on one point. In this way, even ordinary ninja tools can cause considerable damage. As long as it is within the tolerance of the material, a kunai can have the destructive power of advanced ninjutsu. Kakashi is dead. Oh, not yet, he is pretending. You scared me. I thought it was really over. You are very strange. Even if he is really dead, what is there to be surprised about? Does Kakashi have the words cannot die written on his face? Did you forget that Kakashi appeared in the Fourth World War and was a captain? Yes, I almost forgot if you didn't say it. It seems that Kakashi escaped here. The little fat man's psychological tolerance is not good. With a powerful enemy at hand, now is not the time to cry. Come on, that's his dad. You're not even allowed to cry when his dad dies. Dad, Choji's lips trembled slightly. Even though he had seen the deaths of various people on the Sky Curtain, he had never thought that his father would die in front of him in the way that he saw on the Sky Curtain. Don't be afraid, Choji, that's just a future that has never happened. Shikamaru put his arm around Choji's shoulders and said firmly, I don't dare to say anything big, so. In order to prevent this future from happening, let's work hard together. Shikamaru, pursing his lips, Choji forced himself out of the state of being in the Sky Curtain and nodded heavily. Yes. Let's train hard together. I will never let my dad die in front of me like that. Chapter 389. Looking at Choji's stunned expression, Kakashi hurriedly urged him, now is not the time to be stunned. Go, run. Choji choked up and looked at the unconscious Chusa hesitantly. Kakashi looked at him and said sternly, don't let Mr. Chusa die in vain. A slight metal collision interrupted the conversation between the two, and then a strange voice sounded, what a difficult group of guys. Kakashi and Choji couldn't believe that Shirato, who was hit repeatedly and almost torn into pieces, raised his head again. Damn it. Actually, Kakashi looked ugly, watching Shirato's body deform and squeeze out a missile aimed at Choji. Run, Choji. It's really annoying to hesitate in this situation. Although I know it's understandable, it's easy to raise blood pressure. Oh my god. What's wrong with this puppet? He's been beaten up like that and he's still not dead. You can't apply common sense to puppets. Although he looks torn into pieces, maybe he can recover his combat effectiveness immediately by replacing a few parts. There was no time to hesitate. After saying goodbye to his father in his heart, Choji turned around and ran. Looking at the missile that was ready to launch, Kakashi closed his eyes and thought about countermeasures. With my current chakra, I'm afraid I can't deal with that guy's whole body. If I use it again, my chakra and physical strength will be exhausted, and my life will be. Thinking like this in his heart, Kakashi opened his Sharingan and it had turned into a kaleidoscope. Entrusting this information to others is the best choice I can make at this moment to save Konoha. Kakashi stared at the missile that was about to catch up with Choji, and with a burst of space distortion, the missile disappeared out of thin air. Oh. Is this Kakashi's main Gekio ability? Can anyone tell what's going on? He just made the missile disappear. The missile disappeared after being stared at by his eyes, erasing the material he was looking at. Whoever he stares at will die. With this ability, people like Hiden and Kokuzu are nothing. Just let Kakashi look at them a few more times. It shouldn't be that exaggerated. If he had this ability, it wouldn't be so hard to fight this enemy now. Even if the opponent can bounce back all the attacks, can he also bounce back his sight? Did you notice that it took 1 or 2 seconds from the time Kakashi launched the main Gekaioi technique to the time the missile disappeared? As long as this technique is not instantaneous, it is possible for the enemy to dodge it. It's probably because of the chakra problem, so Kakashi has been stingy and dare not use it, otherwise it would definitely be enough to kill the enemy. Kakashi, this guy, made himself look like he was going to die, but he was still active on the battlefield. It's probably Tsunade who took action. A good medical ninja has this advantage. Successfully intercepted Shirato's attack, Kakashi breathed quickly, and then slowly closed his eyes. Hell, it seems that I'm done here, Obito. Rin. The scene changed, and the young Kakashi stood on a calm water surface, also closed his eyes, and then a Uchiha boy with blood on the corner of his mouth appeared on the sky. No matter what the villagers say, you are an amazing Jonin. I am about to die, but I will be your eyes and see the future for you. Rin is in your care. The Uchiha boy muttered in a flat voice, and a short-haired girl with purple patterns on her face appeared on the screen during his narration. Huh? Why did it become such a stream of consciousness? Why does it look like a revolving lantern? This is almost like writing the word death on Kakashi's face. Kakashi is really dead. The one on the battlefield is Kakashi, who is resurrected after death. Again, resurrection technique. Konoha actually has a resurrection technique. Does every ninja village have a resurrection technique now? Excluding the pseudo-revenge of the impure world reincarnation, the resurrection techniques that have appeared in the sky are the Ryuma-e reincarnation of Kusagakure and the Jisa-e reincarnation of Tsunagakure. Both of these techniques require the caster to pay the price of their life. I don't know what the resurrection technique of Konoha is like. This Uchiha boy and this girl, is he Kakashi's teammate? Did this boy give Kakashi his Sharingan? I thought all Uchiha were arrogant, but this boy actually offered to give his eyes to Kakashi. Obito, you become my eyes and help me see the future clearly, but that seems to be all. The position of the young Kakashi was replaced by the grown-up Kakashi. He sank into the water, looking at the reflection in the mirror-like water surface, and said with a guilty tone, I failed to protect Rin and failed to abide by the agreement between us. I'm sorry, Obito. Rin. Teacher, looking at Minato, Rin and Obito who disappeared one after another, Kakashi stepped onto cold and lonely land. I'm going to your place now, Tisk. That boy gave such a serious entrustment before his death. I can't imagine how Kakashi felt when he failed to protect the girl named Rin. Kakashi is the only one alive in the whole team. No wonder he dared to tell Sasuke that all his most important people were dead. Now Kakashi is gone too. The 4 of them can reunite in the Pure Land. The 4th Hokage seems to be in the belly of the Grim Reaper. Kakashi should not be able to see him. Pay attention to the atmosphere. Don't say such things, okay? On the lake, Obito, who had finally led the 3 tails out of the water, paused slightly after hearing what Kakashi said on the sky. Then his eyes became sharp, and he squatted down and pressed the lake's surface hard. Uchiha flame formation, the red barrier that stood up high trapped the 3 tails in it. Obito panted and looked at the sky fiercely. Haha, ha, what's there for you to apologize for? You can go down with the 3 fakes in front of you. The real Kakashi, Rin and the teacher will meet in the dream I created. So now, surrender obediently, Sanwai, I need your strength. Chapter 390. Kakashi walked aimlessly alone, and as he walked, a figure sitting in front of a campfire appeared in front of him. Kakashi. So you're in a place like this. Kakashi was not surprised at all, and sat down next to the figure next to the campfire. Tell me about your story. It's a long story, I have to tell you slowly. Well, it's okay. The figure revealed his true face, and it turned out to be the White Fang of Konoha who had died many years ago, Hatake Sasuke. Looking at this face that he hadn't seen for a long time, Kakashi relaxed more than ever, and chuckled and said, That, father. In the present world, Kakashi, who was buried in the ruins, raised his head high and completely lost his breath. Is this still a stream of consciousness? Why does it feel like it's real? How can we answer this? We haven't died, So who knows if the Pure Land looks like this? Can consciousness be retained after death? What's the difference between this and being alive? This guy is Konoha White Fang, Hatake Sasuke. The first person Kakashi saw after his death was his father. Why is he so calm? Kakashi doesn't seem surprised at all. No. I'm very surprised. Kakashi widened his eyes. He was originally very depressed because of the memories of Obito and Rin. After seeing his father appear, a long-lost excitement surged in his heart and replaced the previous depression. What's going on? Is that the Pure Land? Has my father been waiting for me? Thinking of this, Kakashi suddenly felt a little awkward. Why did he feel like his father was looking forward to his death? Regarding the world after death, although most people in the ninja world are very interested, because no one can answer the questions, all kinds of questions are left unanswered. The Sky Curtain entered the next story at this time. Jiraiya knocked on the door of the Hokage's office, and the first sentence after entering the door made Tsunade stand up in shock. I found the hiding place of the leader of Akatsuki. Tsunade was excited and hurriedly asked Jiraiya to explain the details. Shizune on the side also echoed that this information would be used to formulate a new surprise attack plan. Seeing their impatient appearance, Jiraiya signaled the two to stay calm, and then suggested that they go for a drink together, ready to drink and talk at the table. Asshole. I'm the Hokage. How can you drink in broad daylight? Don't you feel sorry for those ninjas on the mission? Tsunade scolded righteously. In the last story, the leader of Akatsuki had already attacked Konoha, but the time here is before that. As expected, the next battle should be between Jiraiya and Akatsuki, and this time it's Jiraiya's turn to die. So the key words of death today all refer to people from Konoha. Nonsense. The deaths of Kokuzu and Hiden are not counted. Take good notes, we should be able to get some secret information next. The scene changes, and the two appear in a wine house. Tsunade picks up the bottle of wine and drinks it with a comfortable look on her face. Jiraiya is speechless when he sees this. You, at least take some responsibility for what you said, after all, you are the Hokage. Tsunade didn't respond, and asked straight to the point, so, the leader of Akatsuki is in the Hidden Rain village, right? After Jiraiya nodded in confirmation, Tsunade raised her own question. As far as I know, the inspection of people entering and leaving the country and the monitoring of those staying there are quite strict. Even the procedures for holding the joint Chunin exams are difficult to apply for. It is an extremely closed village. It should not be a place where the leader of Akatsuki can move freely. Is Tsunade so unreliable? Lady Tsunade has always been like this. She likes gambling and drinking, and is a heroine. I didn't see it before, but she mostly appeared to issue tasks, so it's normal that I can't see her specific personality. Tisk, it's all Jiraiya's fault. Why did he mention drinking for no reason? Isn't this ruining my image? Tsunade gritted her teeth secretly, ignored the gazes of other people at the conference table, and looked at the sky calmly. The Hidden Rain Village is Akatsuki's base in the Land of Rain. Strange, the Hidden Rain Village is ranked quite low on our exploration list, and the reason is what Tsunade said. With the ruling methods of Hanzo, it would be even more difficult for Akatsuki to hide in such a country than to hide somewhere in the 5 major countries. This is your conclusion based on the premise that Akatsuki needs to hide. The question is, do they need to hide? Yes, although Hanzo is very strong, he doesn't look like a match for the Rinnegan. Come to think of it, it seems that I haven't heard about Hanzo for a long time. No doubt, Akatsuki is in the Hidden Rain Village and has replaced Hanzo's dominance. The Hidden Rain Village was already the strongest country under the 5 great powers. Now that it has a stronger leader, it's no wonder that it wants to challenge the status of the 5 great powers. It's not just about launching an attack, capturing the tailed beasts and starting a war, it's about ruling the world. Because it's a very closed village, the inside story is not known to other countries. According to the information I collected, that country seemed to have a civil war not long ago, and the village was divided into 2 factions. It is said that the leader of one of the factions is the leader of Akatsuki. Jiraiya gave an explanation, and Tsunade's expression became serious when she heard it. Can he actually compete with that salamander Hanzo? So in order to confirm whether this information is true, I will sneak in and investigate first. I will come up with a battle plan later. Jiraiya proposed his own idea. Tsunade directly opposed it. Jiraiya immediately showed a serious expression and said, I am one of the 3 ninjas of Konoha, you should also know the meaning of this. This is too closed, The country has a civil war, and our intelligence department has not received any intelligence at all. This kind of thing will happen. The most likely scenario is that the civil war will end in a very short time. Before the news comes out, the chaos has been eliminated, and the country is completely controlled by the victor. Chapter 391. Sneaking into the enemy camp without knowing anything is the most dangerous mission. No wonder even a master like Jiraiya failed. From the fact that there is no information about the civil war in the land of rain, Akatsuki's dominance there is definitely beyond imagination. It is not an exaggeration to describe it as a life or death struggle. Fighting against that salamander Hanzo and winning the battle, Akatsuki. Tsunade murmured softly, frowning deeply. Tsunade also knows a lot of strong men in the ninja world, but among them, the one who impressed her the most is definitely Salamander Hanzo. After all, he was the strongest enemy they had encountered when they were young. If Konoha had not had the advantage on the battlefield at that time, perhaps the three of them would have been directly handed over to the other party, and there would be no glory of their current fame in the ninja world. Of course, no matter how strong he was in the past, as an old guy, his strength would inevitably decline. In addition, the opponent has the legendary Samsara Eye, so it is quite normal for Salamander Hanzo to end up like this. Tsunade stared at him in silence for a moment, then looked away and said apologetically, "I'm sorry, I always let you play this kind of disadvantaged role." Although Jiraiya laughed without any scruples, Tsunade still felt guilty. Originally, you should have been the one to become Hokage, and the Sundom also recognize you as the next Hokage. I'm not the material to be Hokage, I like a free and easy life. Jiraiya responded like this, but Tsunade knew what he was really busy with all these years. You regret not being able to stop Orochimaru, and you are still stubbornly investigating Orochimaru's whereabouts. Jiraiya-sama became Hokage. Well, although I admire him very much, let's forget it. The position of Hokage is indeed not suitable for Jiraiya. His personality is too jumpy, but even Naruto is struggling with this. Jiraiya went, but it seems that it's nothing to the Hokage, which made the villagers. It would be fine to adapt to this kind of Hokage as soon as possible. Jiraiya has been investigating Orochimaru's whereabouts. Why do I feel a strong sense of deja vu? No doubt, it's the kind of Naruto chasing Sasuke. It turns out that they both learned the operation from their own teacher. Jiraiya, Orochimaru and Tsunade, these three people are not going to have a love triangle, right? Now the three of them just happen to have one each, and they have accepted Naruto, Sasuke and Sakura as their students. What is this? The transmission of fate. Before, I thought Naruto was persistent, but now it seems that Jiraiya is the real persistent. I remember that Orochimaru seemed to have become a rebel ninja 10 years ago, which means that Jiraiya has been chasing him for a full 10 years. Humph, instead of wasting time on me, you might as well do something serious, that idiot. Orochimaru snorted coldly. Although he said this, no one knew what he really thought in his heart. Kabuto pushed his glasses and said with a bad taste, after all, Lord Orochimaru is a dangerous person who can endanger Konoha at any time. Lord Jiraiya will naturally investigate you for safety reasons. So I think Lord Orochimaru should not have the opportunity to enjoy the treatment of unconditional support and trust like Sasuke-kun. Kabuto, your personality is getting more and more lively now. That's because of your mood that I dare to be so presumptuous. I hope I am not wrong. There is no need for that anymore. I can also start writing the sequel to my novel as soon as possible. Jiraiya lowered his eyes and said in a low voice. Tsunade also showed a nostalgic expression. Reality is even stranger than fiction. He died just like that. Don't like this dull atmosphere. Jiraiya deliberately teased. The washboard Tsunade back then is now I have become a boobed Hokage. Times are always changing. You were once beautiful, but now you are an old lady over 50 years old. So you have to remember the dead from time to time like an old man. This is really helpless. Because one day, we will also become the object of others' remembrance. Fortunately, I don't care much about this kind of thing. My mission is to be a role model for the next generation and support them. For this, I will bet my life with a smile. This is probably the handsomeness of old people. Compared to Orochimaru's determination to fight as soon as he said it, these two people are just fierce in words, but they still miss that friendship in fact. I will miss it, but I will not be vague when I fight. You don't think that the previous battle between the three ninjas was acting? The reality is really bizarre. Orochimaru, who is dedicated to the research of immortality, but she was the first to die among the three. Immortality is just a small problem. What really killed Orochimaru was his greed. He wanted everything, and then he hid a wall. Although I know they are of the same age, it still feels quite awkward to see Jiraiya describing Tsunade as an old woman. There is no way. That face and figure are too misleading. Perhaps only Naruto can completely ignore it and call her grandma seriously according to her age. I feel that Jiraiya has set an incredible flag. Although it sounds cool to say this, it is usually not far from death after saying it. Jiraiya also knew that this mission was very dangerous, and he must have been prepared to sacrifice. Old people sometimes always have some inexplicable premonitions. After finishing the drinking party, Jiraiya took Tsunade to a chair beside the street to take a short rest under the dim sunlight. Tsunade leaned on the bench and said drunkenly, "Akatsuki. It is impossible to predict how strong the guy who can lead those powerful characters is. Your plan is no different from running to the enemy to die." Not wanting to listen to her continued complaints, Jiraiya stood up and prepared to leave. Tsunade showed a worried look, lowered her head and whispered, "Come back alive. If you die too, will you cry for me? Then I'm very happy, but I shouldn't be as sad as when I was hurt." Ha ha ha. Jiraiya laughed loudly, and Tsunade couldn't help but scolded him as an idiot. To deal with those 6 people without any information, I can already imagine how difficult Jiraiya's next battle will be. It's even more amazing that they can collect information and pass it on in this situation. If it weren't for Jiraiya, Konoha would have to pay a greater price when it was invaded, and it might even be flattened directly. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story, and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 392. Is it worth exchanging the life of a top expert for those few pieces of information? Would the result be better if Jiraiya stayed in Konoha? Why don't you try your favorite gambling game and bet that I will die? Anyway, you always lose. But when I come back alive, Jiraiya suddenly turned around and looked at Tsunade seriously, until he almost made her embarrassed. Then he instantly restrained his expression and laughed. Just kidding, just kidding. Thank you very much. Jiraiya took out his novel from his arms and said openly, "Men will become strong after being dumped." In other words, if you don't even have the capacity to laugh about these things, you are not a man. You have to be able to use these things as inspiration. Do men have to be strong? Tsunade asked, and Jiraiya responded, "Almost, and happiness should not be a man's pursuit." Oh, Tsunade's big fat sheep attribute can be used in reverse like this. It feels like the door to a new world has been opened. Tisk, it's okay to watch young people's love. Why do I have to watch 250-something old guys flirting here? Ha ha ha, Tsunade's skills are not enough. She is so old, but she is still shy because of the other party's teasing. Don't forget that Jiraiya also wrote pornographic books. If he didn't have some real skills, could he write such a bestseller? Well, the old guy is quite handsome. Although I don't quite agree with what he said, I really admire his free and easy style. Princess Tsunade, don't blame me for being nosy. You are not young anymore. It's time to look forward. So if Princess Tsunade is interested in getting married with Jiraiya, please make sure to let the old man have a thick face and drink a glass of wedding wine. Anoki joked while watching the fun. Tsunade was full of black lines, and responded with a twitch of the corner of her mouth. Don't bother with this matter, old man. Let's handle our own affairs. Damn Jiraiya, you are so old and still pretending to be cool. I will give you a taste of my own medicine later. Not only Tsunade felt offended, but Terumi also felt that she was shot, and she was shrouded in low pressure, and kept muttering 2 words, marriage, old age. Marriage, old age. Tsunade smiled with relief, and laughed at Jiraiya, who didn't even have a girlfriend, pretending to be a romantic saint. Jiraiya didn't care much about being ridiculed. After a moment of silence, Tsunade couldn't help but say, "If there is any situation, contact me with a toad, and I will rush over immediately." Jiraiya also disagreed with Tsunade taking this risk, because Konoha couldn't do without her at the moment, but Tsunade said that there were many candidates for Hokage, and then cited the examples of Kakashi and Naruto. Let's not talk about Kakashi first. Even though you gave Naruto the necklace, he's still far from it. Jiraiya subconsciously belittled, just like those parents who talked about their children with their neighbors. Naruto should have at least learned the Rasen Shuriken by now. How could this strength still be far from enough in Jiraiya's eyes? His combat power is up to standard, but other aspects are not good enough. Being a Hokage is not just about high combat power. It will be too late to rush over after Jiraiya encounters danger. It's better to send a few more people to go with him now. Even if they don't enter the Hidden Rain village, they can support him outside. Tsunade can't have not considered this situation. Since she didn't do this, it means that the conditions were not met. Maybe Konoha was short of manpower at that time. Did you spend a lot of effort on him? You even taught him the Rasengan. Tsunade retorted. Jiraiya chuckled and responded, no, I just miss you. I remember the time when I taught Minato. Time has passed. Namake's Minato, he really looks like. Tsunade showed a nostalgic expression, and Jiraiya also remembered the disciple who died early. No, Minato is an outstanding talent that is rarely seen in 10 years. Geniuses like him are hard to come by. He is gentle and considerate, but he is a man full of energy in his bones, so he quickly became the fourth-generation Hokage. I haven't been a father so I don't know much, but if I have a child like him, I will definitely be proud of it. I have a question, isn't Naruto a genius? He is said to be a genius, but looking at his usual performance, he is very unreliable. He uses the Rasengan, a no-mark ninjutsu, like that. But if he is not a genius, the Rasen Shuriken that the fourth Hokage did not complete was created by him. He has mastered the Sage Mode, which is quite difficult. The two aspects are quite disconnected. I don't know how to evaluate them. After saying so much, I just have one question. From ancient times to the present, how many people in the ninja world have this strength at the age of 16? From this point of view, Naruto is a well-deserved genius. The fourth Hokage can't compare to him. I feel that Jiraiya has too much of a filter. He treats the fourth Hokage as his son. It is understandable that he is slightly biased towards him. Son. In my heart, you are indeed like my father, Jiraiya-sensei. Minato said to himself gently, I am sincerely proud to be your student. Haha, after hearing what you said, Naruto is not very similar to him. Tsunade couldn't help laughing. To be honest, Naruto is more like his mother. Whether it is personality or ninjutsu, he is very much like Kushina. Of course, he looks like his father. Tsunade and Jiraiya have no objection to this. Jiraiya also admitted that looking at Naruto is like looking at his grandson. The two chatted about family matters, but this kind of conversation always ends. Jiraiya took the initiative to stop the conversation and put the scroll leaning on the chair behind his waist. Okay, I won't talk anymore. I should go. Finally, Tsunade was reminded to be careful of people with roots. Jiraiya walked towards the sunset without looking back. Looking at his back, Tsunade shed tears for some reason. Looks like his father, and his personality is like his mother. Does Naruto look like his father? I don't think so. Hair color and eye color are also part of appearance. If the birthmark on Naruto's face is removed, you can see the shadow of the fourth Hokage to some extent. Chapter 393. Tsunade is crying because she sensed that Jiraiya would die. Although I know that this kind of telepathy exists, but knowing that the other person is about to die even though he is still in front of you, it already involves the ability of foresight. Even if he knew that he would die, Jiraiya still had to go. Even the death scene of Naruto was not to continue his mission. The scene changed. Under a sky covered by dark clouds, heavy rain hit the water surface and ripples appeared. A small toad floated out of the water, and a tall white-haired man emerged from its open mouth. It was Jiraiya who took on the investigation mission. The infiltration was successful, unexpectedly easy. Jiraiya was instantly soaked by the rain. Looking at the city outline not far away, he muttered to himself, so, what should I do next? Almost at the same time, Tendo suddenly turned his head to look at the direction where Jiraiya infiltrated. Facing Konan's question behind him, Tendo replied, someone blocked my rain. The feeling of this chakra is quite strong. The Hidden Rain Village, I have the impression that it is a country with an immortal war. I don't know what it looks like now. Is it called the Hidden Rain Village because it rains all the time? From Jiraiya's perspective, the whole city looks very depressing. Living in such a place for a long time will make you crazy. Oh my god, I understand why the Hidden Rain Village can strictly control the outflow of information. Jiraiya was discovered before he even entered. blocking his rain. Does this mean that the rain in the whole city is a ninjutsu performed by the other party? It seems that the other party's chakra can be sensed through the rain. So-called infiltration here is simply not feasible. Tendao walked outside, overlooking the entire city from a high position, and ordered Xiaonan behind him. Xiaonan, after the rain stops, you use your jutsu to search for invaders. As he said, Tendao stopped the heavy rain covering the entire city, and then at his signal, Xiaonan turned the pages layer by layer like a book, and the whole person turned into pieces of white paper, which turned into a large number of paper butterflies after folding and flew out. The scene changed, and two rain ninjas were walking on the road at the bottom of the city. The rain ninja with a scour on his face suggested going for a drink together, so the two moved up along the stairs scattered outside various buildings, and then found a newly opened bar at a corner. No wonder the leader of Akatsuki and this blue-haired woman are unknown in the ninja world. If they have always been in the Hidden Rain village and have never walked in the ninja world, it is normal that they are not well known. One sentence exposed the weakness of this Konan. You can use water escape to deal with her in the future. Well, even if there is no such sentence, you can't think of this weakness? Paper, it's either water or fire. Normal people can think of it. If normal people can think of it, then I think the caster should be able to think of it too. She is likely to dig a hole in this regard. Since she can become a member of Akatsuki, it means that she has her own unique skills. Anyway, it is right to deal with them with the combat power of the standard cage. Attracted by the words opening big sale, the two walked into this peculiarly decorated bar. A bartender with long white hair, a white mustache, and glasses was wiping cups behind the bar. The two rain ninjas ordered some drinks and food, and after sitting down, they started talking to each other, with respect for their leader, Pine, in their words, but they were soon interrupted by the bartender. Sorry to have kept you waiting. The two looked at the empty counter in confusion. During their inquiry, the bartender said that they were very lucky, and then he directly lifted the transformation technique to show his true form. Who are you, guy? The startled two rain ninjas quickly retreated. Jiraiya crossed the bar and chuckled, saying, I should be the one asking you. This bar looks like a toad at first glance. Pine. Is this the name of the leader of Akatsuki? I've never heard of it. I don't know what's so special about this guy that he can actually possess the legendary Samsara Eye. Amid the panicked screams of the two rain ninjas, the entire bar shrank rapidly, and soon turned into a small toad, jumping into the water and hiding. Standing in front of the two controlled rain ninjas, Jiraiya said, well, although you're just minions, you are also ninjas judging by the kune you hold. Where is this place? Dai the hooded rain ninja looked at the surroundings in horror, which were constantly squirming and looked like internal organs. Jiraiya said bluntly, this is the belly of a frog. Who are you? The hooded rain ninja continued to ask. Jiraiya took out a feather and said maliciously, I should have said that I was asking questions. If you don't want to die of laughter, just answer my questions honestly. Everything about your leader, Pine. Jiraiya's technique is as weird as Orochimaru's. A small toad can actually become a bar. If Jiraiya has not been exposed, and he keeps attacking the ninjas of the Hidden Rain village in this way, as long as the speed is fast enough, I think it should be difficult for the other party to find Jiraiya's whereabouts. It's a good place to hide, and it also has its own prison room. Judging from its size, it can capture a lot of prisoners. The torture began. Ska Rain Ninja was very stubborn. He refused to answer during the tickling torture, so Jiraiya stopped and said, you are surprisingly patient. It seems that I have to use my trump card. What do you want to do? The turban rain ninja was sweating. Jiraiya turned his head and looked at him, grinning and replied, if you don't confess, I will use my technique to turn you into frogs. After saying that, he continued to tickle the Ska Rain Ninja. Looking at his companions who were laughing so hard that they could hardly breathe, the Turban Rain Ninja said righteously that they would never betray their companions. Then, after seeing Jiraiya really turned the Ska Rain Ninja into a frog, he immediately changed his face. I heard. Lord Pain is in the tallest tower in the west. Jiraiya's interrogation skills are average, and too frivolous. That face will reduce the psychological pressure of the interrogated person. Chapter 394. The knowledge of torture is quite professional. If you haven't studied it specifically, you can have this level. Otherwise, Konoha wouldn't have Marino Ibriki, who is famous for torture. Don't think this method is easy to deal with. Tickling can really make people laugh to death. Otherwise, It wouldn't be one of the regular torture items until now. Since he had already opened his mouth, the hooded rain ninja answered all the questions raised by Jiraiya. However, most of the information was just hearsay, but there was only one thing that could be confirmed, that is, Pine was like a god in the Hidden Rain village. Then Jiraiya asked questions based on the old remnants of the Hidden Rain village mentioned by the other party, and then got a shocking news that Hanzo of the Salamander was completely defeated in the confrontation with Akatsuki, and it was said that only Pine was the one who attacked. Jiraiya's eyes widened. I can't believe it. Even if Pine is very strong, Hanzo, the chief of the Hidden Rain village, is a well-known figure in the ninja world. Sure enough, Hanzo is gone. Although this is expected, is it true that only the leader can solve this civil war? I thought there would be at least a few more people. Did everyone say that the 6 people using the Samsara were some kind of clones? If so, they can be said to be acting alone. No matter what it is, when Hanzo was in opposition to Akatsuki, his fate was already decided. Even if the Samsara the power is not enough, and the other members of Akatsuki are all extremely difficult masters. The original Rain village was completely supported by Hanzo of the Salamander. It can be seen that Pine's dominance over the Rain village is really strong. Those people in Konoha respect the Hokage, but they don't see them treating the Hokage as a god. Are you sure this is not the nonsense of some fanatics? Everyone can brag. Possessing the Samsara can be related to God to some extent. After all, the Six-Path Sage is the legendary god of creation. Jiraiya couldn't help but think of the battle between him, Orochimaru, and Tsunade on the battlefield during World War II. They were young and were no match for each other. Even though they got a title that was famous enough in the ninja world from Hanzo of the Salamander, it was actually a very shameful experience for them who were young and energetic at the time. I can't believe that Hanzo was given to a person. Jiraiya didn't expect to get such shocking information, but other than that, the hooded rain ninja knew nothing, whether it was Pine's image or ability. Confirming that he could not get more information, Jiraiya walked out of the torture space and used the summoning technique to spit out a long toad from his mouth. Tisk tisk, I can't imagine how strong the young salamander Hanzo was. He beat the 3 ninjas to that state alone. It is difficult for people who have not experienced that era to understand what the name Salamander Hanzo means. Hanzo is a ninja known for his undefeated record. If he were not old, I would even think he could compete with a Rinnegan. Pain is too cautious. Even the ninjas in his own village don't know what he looks like. So it comes in handy here. Jiraiya didn't get any information except that Salamander Hanzo lost. Huh? How can Jiraiya? Why are you trying to spit out things like Orochimaru? You sneaked in by coming out of the toad's mouth, and you spit out a toad here. Are you going to spit yourself out like Orochimaru? Will Tsunade also? No. Slugs are much more disgusting than toads and snakes. Jiraiya, why did you call me out? Naruto's ki has already been. Yin said impatiently, but was immediately interrupted by Jiraiya. No, this time it's not for training. For some reason, you have to leave for a while. Yin was a little curious about this, and Jiraiya's answer was that he would fight a powerful guy next. Although he didn't agree with it, Yin still cooperated and unfolded his scroll-like body, allowing Jiraiya to stamp a handprint on it to confirm the movement. Then Yin asked how long it would take, and Jiraiya said it shouldn't take long, but he also gave another instruction: if anything goes wrong, you can move into Naruto's body. The shapes of these toads are all kinds of strange, and there are also scroll-style ones like this. Jiraiya also has a hunch something will happen to me. Even if you don't have a premonition, you still have to make arrangements for your funeral. This is the prescribed procedure before carrying out an infiltration mission, okay? Since we already know that Hanzo of the Salamander has been defeated, this is the base of the Akatsuki organization, and the members of Akatsuki are all very strong. No matter what arrangements Jiraiya makes, it is reasonable. I feel that Jiraiya should have some kind of filter for Hanzo of the Salamander. Even though he can defeat him now, the tragic defeat when he was young is still very unforgettable. Tora's face changed immediately after hearing this, and he said in a stern tone that at the moment when the 4th Hokage's seal power is getting weaker and weaker, how can his key to open the seal be placed in the same place as the seal? Having said that, this key was originally a relic of Minato, and it will be handed over to Naruto sooner or later. Jiraiya was very calm, but Yin still disagreed and cited the accident that happened during the training trip as an example. Jiraiya certainly understood that this approach was quite risky, But out of trust in Minato Namake's, since he decided to seal the nine tails in Naruto's body, it means that he was holding the hope that Naruto could control the power of the nine tails and become a perfect Jinchuriki. As a master, what's wrong with him taking risks together? The seal of the fourth Hokage is getting weaker and weaker. This is why the older Naruto gets, the easier it is to transform into a tailed beast. This has been discussed before. Under the influence of the nine tails chakra, the seal will definitely become weaker and weaker. I didn't expect that the fourth Hokage actually prepared a key to restart the seal. It feels like the nine tails was arranged clearly. I remember that Naruto is 12 years old this year, and the fourth Hokage died 12 years ago. In other words, Naruto became an orphan and became the nine tails Jinchuriki not long after he was born. So, I would like to ask, the fourth Hokage could predict the future or something, and firmly believe that his son could become a perfect Jinchuriki. So he left the key to open the seal. Jiraiya, don't you think what you said is outrageous? Chapter 395. It is natural for a father to trust his son. What is there to argue about? It is also possible that the fourth Hokage recovered his memory in Lalin and made the decision after understanding Naruto. Key. The fourth Hokage left it to me. Naruto looked at Jiraiya curiously. Jiraiya nodded first, then shook his head. There is indeed a key, but it cannot be given to you now. It is too early for you. After all, the nine tails is the strongest tailed beast. It is best to wait until you have mastered the Sage Mode before starting training in this area. Is it really okay to grow so slowly? Naruto's tone was a little hesitant. It's okay for the opponents who were exposed by the Sky Curtain before, but this time the enemy directly attacked Konoha and killed Kakashi and you, the lecherous sage. After seeing the Sky Curtain this time, will they still give me time to grow honestly? Jiraiya looked at Naruto with some surprise. This silly boy actually used his brain. Thinking this in his heart, Jiraiya said confidently, you don't need to worry about this kind of thing. The enemy did notice you in advance, but we also got their intelligence in advance. With sufficient intelligence, I, Jiraiya, the Toad Sage of Myaboku Mountain, have never been afraid of anyone, even if the other party has the Samsara Eye. Looking at Jiraiya who was shaking his head like a shaman, Naruto pursed his lips and did not respond. No matter how confident Jiraiya was, Naruto could not mind it. After all, it was because of him that they had to face these powerful enemies. How could Naruto accept it with peace of mind? Noticing his expression, Jiraiya stopped playing funny, scratched his head and said, there's nothing I can do. I wanted to wait until you were 1 or 2 years older before starting this training. What training? I'll arrange it for you after the end of the Sky Curtain. It should allow you to master the Rasengan before the 3rd exam, but you need to take some risks. Perfect Jinchuriki. Are you serious? He can't even control the nine tails chakra. Even if the seal is only slightly unlocked, Naruto's chakra will be forced back, and the nine tails chakra will leak out in large quantities and control Naruto. If the seal is completely unlocked, Naruto will completely become the nine tails, which is truly contrary to the will of the fourth Hokage. Kamikano was still unwilling to take risks, so Jiraiya could only continue to persuade him. Minato just used the Shiki Fujin on the nine tails yin chakra. He deliberately divided the nine tails power into yin and yang, and sealed the yang part in Naruto, just to leave the nine tails chakra to Naruto. So why did he seal the nine tails chakra in his child? What the hell? According to Jiraiya, the nine tails in Naruto's body is only half of the original one, and the other half is with the fourth Hokage. If half is so strong, what will happen if it is a complete form? It should be the result of practical considerations. Naruto must have become a Jinchuriki when he was an infant. At that time, he should not be able to withstand the power of the complete nine tails. Well, maybe it was forced by the situation at the time, or he, as a father, wanted to leave some power for his child. Toad Yin expressed his understanding. After a moment of silence, Jiraiya said, as Minato's master, I know him well. He is not someone who would do meaningless things. Minato must have discovered something important, and for this reason he entrusted the power of the nine tails to his child. Gamaian wanted to express other objections, but Jiraiya interrupted him and continued, on the day Naruto was born, Minato sacrificed himself in the battle with the nine tails to save Konoha. Kushina, the Jinchuriki, also died because she lost the tailed beast. Even the wife of the Sandame, Biwako-sensei, who was in charge of delivering the baby, died in that accident. I think this Toad's understanding is correct. After all, Naruto has half the blood of the Uzumaki clan. Unless there were people from the Senju clan in Konoha at that time, there would be no one more suitable to be a Jinchuriki than him. That's not right. A newborn baby, even one from the Uzumaki clan, may not have a greater advantage than other ninjas. It would be more reasonable to explain it with the reason that the fourth Hokage sacrificed his child to protect the villagers. This is also considered a sacrifice. Did you see how much stronger Naruto became because of the Nine Tails chakra? And he has escaped death so many times because of the Nine Tails chakra. If this is a sacrifice, then I'll bear it. Tisk. This idea must have come up after seeing the sky curtain, or they have never seen what a Jinchuriki looks like. Such people are selective in watching the sky, they only see Naruto's majesty, but not his painful expression when he was lost in memories, but the situation may change in the future. Maybe everyone will be scrambling to become a Jinchuriki in the future, naive. Even if the people around you don't reject it at all, do you think that letting a monster live in your body will not be stressful for the Jinchuriki? Look at Gaara's dark circles before you say that, although everything can be explained by the fact that the seal on the Nine Tails weakened during Kushina's childbirth, causing the Nine Tails to break the seal. According to the information I collected afterwards, when the Nine Tails attacked Konoha, its pupils showed the shape of the Sharingan, so I have reason to suspect that there was a mastermind at the time, and the Nine Tails was summoned by him. Although Jiraiya's argument was well-founded, Gamma still insisted on his own opinion, because in his cognition, a natural disaster like the Nine Tails could not be controlled by humans. No, someone can do it. Jiraiya frowned and said seriously, the legendary ninja who is as famous as the first generation of Hokage, Uchiha Madara. Did his parents die on the day he was born? He was an orphan at birth. The seal weakened during childbirth, so it is reasonable for the Nine Tails to run out at this time. However, when it comes to the pupil being the Sharingan, there is no need to say who is the mastermind behind it. It seems that Itachi is not lying here. It should be Itachi who controlled the Nine Tails to attack Konoha on the day Naruto was born. Speaking of which, it is known that Itachi is not Uchiha Madara, but he has the ability of Uchiha Madara described by others. Does that mean that Itachi's real ability is at the same level as Uchiha Madara? Chapter 396. The level of Eternal Mangekyo. I feel like we can estimate the strength by comparing it with Uchiha Itachi. Gamma laughed out loud when he heard it. Since it was described as a legend, it means that Uchiha Madara is a person who does not exist in the world in the eyes of the world. Jiraiya also knew that this explanation was a bit beyond imagination, but the ominous premonition in his heart forced him to face this possibility. Indeed, it is well known that Uchiha Madara was defeated by the first generation of Hokage in the Valley of the End. But I always have a bad premonition, and I feel particularly uneasy. After barely persuading Gamma and arranging all the funeral affairs, Jiraiya emerged from the toad's mouth in the appearance of a hooded rain ninja. Praying secretly that he could disguise himself smoothly, Jiraiya began to move towards the high tower in the west, but did not find that after a stone pillar where he was originally located, several paper butterflies quietly landed there. I don't really understand their thinking. Why would they rather pin the blame on an ancient person who has been dead for who knows how many years, rather than believing that a ninja who can rival Uchiha Madara has appeared in Uchiha? We don't know who did something, but as long as Uchiha Madara can do it, we can pin it on him. In today's ninja world, this idea is actually quite popular. After all, there are a lot of resurrection, immortality, and summoning the dead. Who can guarantee that Uchiha Madara will not secretly resurrect in some corner of the ninja world and secretly plan some big things? Jiraiya has no advantage. The whole city is under the control of the opponent and was discovered in an instant. Who would have thought that there would be something fishy about the rain in the hidden rain village? Konan half peeked out from behind the stone pillar, watched Jiraiya leave, and returned to Pine's side. How is it? It's Jiraiya. Really, Jiraiya-sensei, I really miss him. Pine's face was revealed. At this time, he changed his moving body, replacing the original heavenly path with the animal path with a high ponytail. What should we do, Pine? Konan asked, and the animal path calmly replied, anyway, he won't be our companion, so kill him. There is nothing to miss at this point. It is because I want to kill the invader that I dispatched this body. Led the way. I know. Konan's body turned into paper and floated away again. Pine, I will deal with him before you arrive. If you can kill him, do it. Following the guidance of the paper, the animal path jumped down. Hey, what is this guy called Jiraiya? Teacher. What's going on? There are other entanglements here. Oh my god. The leader of Akatsuki is actually Jiraiya's student. What are you doing in Konoha? Jiraiya, you don't know people well. The students you recruited actually invaded Konoha. Isn't your Konoha a bit too outrageous? If it wasn't for the invasion of Konoha just shown earlier, plus this Pine statement, I would have suspected that Akatsuki is a subordinate department of your Konoha. Jiraiya himself must be very confused. Not only are his students Konoha's enemies, but now they are going to kill him. Send out this body. Listening to this statement, the previous guess was indeed correct. The 6 guys with the Samsara eye are actually the same person. 1 or 2 of them don't take Jiraiya seriously. They kill him as they say, making Jiraiya look like meat on the chopping board. Jiraiya student? I haven't heard him say that. Wait. I seem to have some impression of that blue-haired woman, the Hidden Rain Village, the 3 children at that time. Tsunade, with a look of sudden enlightenment, remembered the events of World War II. She didn't expect that Jiraiya proposed to stay there to take care of the 3 children for a while, but now it has turned into the result on the sky. Hokage, you seem to know something. Can you share it with us? Roz asked. The other 3 cages also looked at Tsunade. They all saw the change in Tsunade's expression just now and knew that she must know something. Tsunade frowned and thought for a moment. Out of vigilance against Akatsuki, she responded, I'll let Jiraiya come over. Only he knows the specific inside story. Following the walls, stairs and various internal corridors, Jiraiya, who had done a good job of disguise, came to a spacious space. As soon as he stepped in, he saw a large amount of white paper flying in front of him, rushing towards him without any warning. The body was covered with layers of it. This time, Konan showed half of her body, holding a paper spear ready to go, but she didn't expect Jiraiya's real body to emerge from the shadow of the controlled hooded rain ninja, and spit a fireball directly at Konan without saying a word. After forcing Konan back, Jiraiya took a deep breath and restored his body from the flat state. In the dispersing smoke, Konan, who was unharmed, looked at his movements and said in a flat voice, Toad flat shadow manipulation technique. Wow. The battle between the teacher and the student, it's quite interesting. Is it popular in your Konoha for disciples to kill teachers? The 3rd generation Hokage and Orochimaru are like this, Orochimaru and Sasuke are like this, Kakashi and Sasuke are like this, and now even Jiraiya and his students are like this. If this becomes popular, then Konoha's teachers will not dare to teach in the future. The student is really capable. The more he teaches, the closer he is to death. In this battle, the student understands the teacher's methods, but the teacher's understanding of the student is still stuck in the past. I feel that this is not good for Jiraiya. It depends on how many cards Jiraiya has hidden. It was originally a bait to lure out Pine, but I didn't expect you to take the bait. Jiraiya looked at Konan and chuckled, saying, your ninjutsu has improved, and you have become more beautiful. Konan, looking at Konan's strange appearance, Jiraiya touched his chin and said, I thought you were dead, but I didn't expect you to become. At this time, the hooded rain ninja who had broken free from control called Konan an angel. Jiraiya immediately connected it with the previous information. Is it an angel this time? In other words, Konan is the spokesperson of God. Konan ordered the hooded rain ninja to leave. Jiraiya ignored his actions and asked with a gloomy face, who is Pine? Chapter 397. Jiraiya's plan is to obtain intelligence directly. Isn't it too risky? At first, he might have wanted to investigate secretly, but since even the rain ninja here doesn't know what Pine looks like, it means that the opponent has done a good job of keeping secrets, and it makes sense for Jiraiya to change his method of action. The more skilled you are, the more courageous you are. Jiraiya may have thought that even if he couldn't beat his opponent, he could still escape. He didn't expect that the opponent's strength exceeded his expectations, and he didn't even have the chance to escape. Strange, except for one unknown ability of the opponent, the other 5 abilities are weird and difficult, but it doesn't seem to be enough to prevent Jiraiya from escaping. Could it be that the opponent has hidden other abilities? The fighting power of 3 battalions cannot stop Jiraiya? Are you overestimating him? Faced with this kind of fighting power, Jiraiya really has no chance of winning, but if he is determined to escape, there should still be a way. After all, decades of ninja career is not for show. It has nothing to do with you, teacher. Konan slowly floated up, and a large amount of paper gathered behind her, turning into a pair of huge white wings. Looking at this obvious image, Jiraiya responded, "Do you think you can become an angel like this? What's the benefit of becoming this form? This is God's order. I want to kill you." Konan's eyes were fierce, and the flapping wings shot at a large amount of paper like arrows. Jiraiya responded with fire escape, but he didn't expect the opponent's offensive to be a little beyond imagination. The fire escape was suppressed by the paper. Jiraiya had no choice but to roll to avoid the attack, and then spit out a large amount of toad oil and poured it on Konan, and then controlled her hair to grow longer and tied her up. "Look, you were discussing about how water and fire jutsu can restrain the opponent's paper, but now you see that they directly suppressed Jiraiya's fire jutsu head-on. This is a direct disregard of attribute restraint with quantity. This Konan is really strong. He is definitely a master of the same level as Jiraiya. No wonder he dared to boast that he would kill him. In terms of hard power, he is almost at the level of Cage, but in other aspects, he doesn't seem to be as comprehensive as Jiraiya. To be honest, paper of the same level is definitely not a match for fire, and even has no advantage against other chakra properties. Jiraiya is a very traditional strong man. He doesn't have any fancy abilities. He relies on all-round strength to support his strength. In this way, he is very versatile in combat and can deal with almost any combat scenario. It's just that the enemy this time is a bit beyond the scope. Who would have thought that the opponent would have the samsara eye? It can't be dispersed if it's stained with oil. You like origami, and you are the most gentle one among those children. Looking at the silent Konan, Jiraiya said, "What about the other two? How are Nagato and Yahiko? The rumors of their death are also false." Seeing the answer from Konan's expression, Jiraiya asked directly, "Which one of the two is Pine? Now that things have come to this, why did you appear in front of us?" Konan asked back. Jiraiya replied, "I don't have any plans. If you are not members of Akatsuki, I heard that you all died, but I didn't expect it to turn out like this. Nagato, several people have mentioned this name, including the reincarnation of Uchiha Madara, Uchiha Itachi, and Ifei. Is this person also a member of Akatsuki? I guessed it a long time ago." Ifei asked Naruto, "Why did Nagato betray him? Didn't he already make this point? There is absolutely no room for easing the positions of both sides. At this time, it depends on who can be ruthless. Jiraiya will not be defeated because of this. Logically speaking, Jiraiya is so old, it should be impossible for him to make such a low-level mistake, but when I think about the fact that people in Konoha generally have an inexplicable soft-heartedness, it may be true. At that time, it would have been better if I listened to Orochimaru." "Teacher, do you think so?" Konan said calmly. Her words reminded Jiraiya of the time when he met them, kill them, in the heavy rain. Orochimaru, dressed in combat uniform, said to Jiraiya and Tsunade beside him, "I have seen many orphans in war. The ending is usually very tragic. It is better to kill them. It is a relief for them." Back to the present, looking at Jiraiya, Konan said calmly, "But you saved us." "It's too late, we have already started to follow." His thoughts went into action. In the Hidden Rain Village Sannin, it was the battle where they earned this title. What a coincidence, they were defeated by Hanzo of the Salamander, but in the end they relied on Jiraiya's disciples to win back a game. So that's how it is, it's those kids back then. No wonder I always thought Pain looked familiar, and he kept using the phantom body technique to summon everyone, probably to hide his true identity. Orochimaru narrowed his eyes. He had never expected that he had ever been so close to the Samsara Eye. However, the one who possessed the Samsara Eye was most likely the red-haired kid whose eyes were covered by hair. Why did it end up on the kid named Yahiko? At the same time, this was also the question that Jiraiya wanted to figure out. Why did Nagato's Samsara Eye appear on Yahiko? Anyway, he absolutely did not believe that the three children would kill each other and learn from Danzo to dig out people's eyeballs and put them on themselves. A difference of one thought gave rise to an organization like Akatsuki. If they had listened to Orochimaru at that time, the direction of the ninja world might be completely different now. It depends on who is leading Akatsuki. The attitudes of Ifei and Itachi both show that Ifei is the leader of Akatsuki, but the Rain Ninjas of the Hidden Rain Village agree that Pine is their leader. I don't know what the real situation is. Do you think this is the case? Ifei is the leader of Akatsuki, and Pine is the leader of the Hidden Rain Village. They are in a cooperative relationship. This explanation is actually fine, but Fitoin called Pine the boss, and Kokuzu didn't object. I am more inclined to believe that Faye is the ruler behind the scenes, and Pine is just the leader in public. According to what you said, doesn't it mean that Faye is stronger than Pine? Can his Sharingan be stronger than the Samsara? Chapter 398. If I had killed you then, it would have been better. I never thought of such a thing. Jiraiya stared at Conan's face steadily. I just feel very sad. I taught you how to survive in troubled times. You are undoubtedly my disciples. Even if the world is very difficult, it really chills me to attack me without even saying hello. After being separated from you for several years, I occasionally heard your names. You became famous in several disputes, and then I heard that you died. What we went through, the teacher has no idea at all. Conan's voice trembled slightly. Jiraiya's expression was serious and his tone was stern. I really don't know. But is this a reason to become Akatsuki? What Akatsuki did was wrong, Tisk. As a bystander, I feel sad for Jiraiya, the teacher. I don't know why Jiraiya accepted a few children from other countries as disciples, but after all the efforts, getting such a result, anyone would be sad. The issue of stance is the most unsolvable thing. The difference in status means that they cannot stand together completely, not to mention the chaotic environment of the Rain country. That is the answer we came up with after considering it ourselves. Jiraiya-sensei, another voice suddenly sounded and interrupted the conversation between the two. The animal path Pine looked down at Jiraiya below with an expressionless face. Although your appearance has changed a lot, but those eyes, are you really Pine, Nagato? Jiraiya said with a serious expression. It seems that you are not developing in the right direction. What happened? You don't need to know. After all, you are just an outsider. The animal path replied coldly, and then put his hands together, and directly summoned a huge crab, which spit out a lot of foam to wash away the oil on Conan's body, and forced Jiraiya to retreat. Compared to the sentimental teacher, this student's attitude is more resolute. I remember that the one who performed the summoning technique before seemed to be a girl, not this man. It has been basically confirmed that this is some kind of special clone. In this case, changing the form should not be a problem. The animal way signaled Conan to retreat, then spread his hands and controlled the crab to rush towards Jiraiya. Random lion hair technique. Jiraiya shouted softly, and his long white hair instantly grew longer and tied the crab tightly, and then he exerted force and cut it into pieces. After eliminating the threat, Jiraiya immediately twisted his long hair into a ball, turned it into an open beast mouth and rushed straight towards the animal way, biting it and binding it tightly. After controlling the opponent, Jiraiya stopped his action and asked in a deep voice, Nagato, I have something to ask you. How is Yahiko? There was indeed such a person, the beast said indifferently, with a flat tone. He died a long time ago? That kind of guy? It seems that Jiraiya should have accepted 3 students at the beginning, and now this Yahiko is dead. This guy named Nagato is so ruthless. Not only can he ruthlessly attack his former teacher, but also his former companions. Who knows what the situation is? Maybe the other side betrayed first. Nagato, you? Jiraiya couldn't believe that the child who cared about Yahiko and Conan in his memory would say such a thing. How could this be? The you in the past. Jiraiya frowned, and the beast responded indifferently. Nothing. I just experienced the war. Many people died here. That kind of pain made me grow up. The animal way then explained, even ignorant and dull children will become adults after knowing pain, and their speech and thoughts will grow with them. So in your opinion, giving up the longing for friends is what is called growth? Jiraiya asked sternly, is this red-haired child Nagato? In other words, in addition to the 6 bodies, he should have another body. Is this body secretly controlling the other 6 bodies, or did the body split directly into 6 bodies? It is true that you will grow after suffering pain, but it seems that he has grown too much and forgotten his original purpose. Not taking Jiraiya's teaching seriously, the animal way's expression remained the same. Teacher, you are just a mortal, and after experiencing infinite pain, he surpassed mortals and continued to grow. Finally, he changed from a mortal to a god. Once you become a god, everything you say and think will be considered from the perspective of a god. Teacher, you are just a mortal. It is normal that you don't understand what I say. The animal path continued, I can recognize things that cannot be recognized from the perspective of a mortal after becoming a god. And it is precisely because I became a god that I realized that I can do things that mortals cannot do. In short, people have evolved. Puff. It turns out that the title of god is not the expectation of his subordinates, but he gave it to himself. After Kabuto who turned from a snake to a dragon, now there is Pine who turned from a human to a god. I wonder if there will be other things in the future. This, Pine's strength is indeed very strong, but isn't it a bit exaggerated to call himself a god directly? Moreover, even masters of Jiraiya's level are just mortals in his eyes. What are we, insects? No wonder he is so cold. Since he has become a god, he naturally cannot understand human emotions. Is there any meaning in growing into this so-called god? I have learned that as long as you talk in a mysterious way, you are a god. If you say something that people cannot understand, you are a god. What do you want to do? Jiraiya did not want to listen to his nonsense anymore, so he asked directly. The animal path closed his eyes and pondered for a moment, then gave his answer. Putting an end to this world full of wars is the responsibility of God. If this is your purpose, why do you want to collect the tailed beasts? Jiraiya continued to ask. The animal path replied, since you are going to die soon, I will tell you the real purpose. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 399. Use the sealed-tailed beasts to create a new forbidden technique. As long as this technique is used, a large country can be destroyed in an instant. It will become the most powerful forbidden weapon. No. Am I hallucinating and hearing something wrong? What is this Pine saying about their purpose? It seems that he is saying that the purpose of Akatsuki is world peace. How can their actions be seen as for peace? Besides, each of their members is a big villain. Letting a group of villains promote world peace is a hell of a joke. Say this, their members themselves wouldn't believe it. The purpose of capturing the tailed beasts is to create some kind of forbidden weapon. This kind of thing is obviously prepared for conquering the world. Doesn't he feel contradictory when he says this? Doing the work of a terrorist and speaking the words of a pacifist, maybe this is what is called a god. I've seen it. How can such a thing put an end to the war? It will only make the war more fierce. Jiraiya said sternly. At this time, the animal path asked him how to end the disputes between countries, but Jiraiya did not continue to ask. Then the animal path gave its own answer, just provide forbidden weapons to countries that are at war with each other, and the countries that have the weapons will definitely use their power. In this way, hundreds of millions of people will lose their lives in an instant, and then people will be afraid, and people and countries will know pain. The fear will suppress war, and war will disappear. Pain will make the world grow, just like me in the past. In order for the world to grow, think and move forward, it needs the help of God, because the world is still just a child. What the hell? That forbidden weapon is not for them to use, but for those countries that are at war. Providing a weapon that can destroy a big country in an instant is to let those who have seen it powerful people will produce fear and thus curb war? I won't say whether this method will work or not. Isn't that big country used to demonstrate the effect too unlucky? It was definitely used as a sacrifice. I bet 5 taels of silver that this big country will most likely be the fire country. Yes, that's right. People who have experienced pain will definitely grow. But isn't it a bit too presumptuous to expand this concept to the scope of villages, countries and the world without authorization? Why did Pain determine that people who use this weapon will be scared? Don't forget those guys who are eager for the world to be in chaos, such as the ghosts in Shenin. If this weapon falls into the hands of people like them, the war will definitely not stop until the whole world is conquered. I thought this god had some such a high theory, but in the end it's just a child who hasn't grown up yet. I dare not say anything else, but if a small country or a small ninja village gets this weapon, will they stop their expansion because of the casualties of the enemy? Don't they want to have the same or even superior status as the 5 major countries? Don't think too simply of human hearts, kid. You seem to have missed a little bit of the content. Pain said that he would provide forbidden weapons to both sides of the war, so that both sides would be seriously injured, and then others would be scared and dare not start a war. In this case, Pain must ensure that each force has the ability to perform this forbidden technique, so that everyone will be afraid to use it, so that no one dares to start a war. How does suddenly it feels as if peace can really be achieved? It's impossible to achieve. Even if temporary peace is achieved, the entire ninja world will soon be in chaos. To give the simplest example, if a small country encroaches on the interests of a big country and puts on an attitude of not fearing boiling water to face the big country, How should the big country respond? Should it swallow this small loss or hug the other party to die together? This model can be applied to almost all countries with unequal strength. Interesting, when having the same ultimate means, the small size of the country has become an advantage, and the big family is bound to be restrained. If this precedent is set, then the incident of Konoha being taken away by Kumagakure will be staged frequently. What's worse is that as long as the leader of any organization is not clear-headed and uses this forbidden weapon, it is almost foreseeable that all countries on the entire continent will be destroyed by this forbidden technique, because no one wants to die unclearly, and will definitely drag the countries with bad relations to die together. A peace plan that could accidentally destroy the world, it is indeed a god, and his ideas are far beyond the comprehension of us ordinary people. Those monsters like Wu Ling and Wu, who said they wanted to destroy the world, are so weak compared to pain. Learn from them. This is the real operation of destroying the world. Nagato stared blankly at the fierce comments. Although he was mentally prepared from the beginning and knew that his ideas would not be understood by the public, Nagato also prepared himself mentally on the grounds that it is normal for God's ideas not to be understood by people, but he did not expect that the public's opposition would be greater than he imagined. What is more important is that Nagato actually thinks that what they said seems to make sense. If he really implements his plan, then he will most likely become the promoter of the destruction of the world, which is completely contrary to his purpose. Even if their actions are no different from those of terrorists, Nagato's starting point is always to promote world peace. This is not only the wish of him and Konan, but also the wish of Yahiko, who has already sacrificed. Is it not possible to provide forbidden weapons to various countries? Then only provide them to small countries. No, this will only intensify the conflict. Small countries that want to improve their status and big countries that want to maintain their status cannot reach a consensus. Then provide them secretly to certain countries. No, if they are given to big countries, they will hide them, but if they are given to small countries, they will definitely publicize them at the first time so that others will be afraid, and the situation will be the same as the first one. What should we do to make the world peaceful? Do we really have to rely on naive kids like Uzumaki Naruto? Nagato, who was fixed in a mechanical device, covered his head with a headache, causing Konan, who was taking care of him, to frown worriedly. Chapter 400. Nagato, why don't we cancel today's operation temporarily? Let's wait until we have a rest, think about the follow-up plan and then rearrange it. No. Nagato denied Konan's words. I admit that our plan has loopholes, but no matter what, the tailed beasts are important props. Whether we can use them in the end or not, we must master them in our own hands. If we don't catch them this time, they may fall into the hands of a Fae after a while. Act as usual, and other things will be discussed after the operation is over. In the Pure Land, Uchiha sneered at Pine's ideas. It's a good ideal, but the plan is no different from a child's fantasy. However, if it weren't for this naive character, you wouldn't be part of my plan. Nagato, just enjoy your peace career. After I am resurrected, I will put everything back on track. Then you will be able to see what true peace is like. In the meeting room of the Hokage building, Jiraiya, who was called over, joined the talks. Originally, the Cage were waiting for him to tell about Akatsuki, but they didn't expect that the real purpose of Akatsuki leader would be exposed directly on the sky screen. Lord Raikage, seeing this situation, you still insist on your original idea and let each village maintain only the minimum cooperation. Now, Anoki, who always keeps his emotions, is a little impatient. If Akatsuki's plan really succeeds, although Konoha is most likely to be attacked, the possibility of the other 4 major countries being attacked is definitely not much lower. He doesn't want to report to the Pure Land for no reason one day. Raikage's face is gloomy, and at this time Luosha interrupted and said, Lord Tsuchikage seems to have missed the point. The most urgent task is to confirm the situation of each Jinchuriki. Now the 1-tail and the 9-tail are in Konoha, and I don't know how the other Jinchuriki are arranged by the Cage. There is no need to worry about the 2-tail and the 8-tail. As long as the leader of Akatsuki doesn't take action personally, my arrangements in the Hidden Cloud Village are enough to repel their attacks. Raikage replied in a deep voice. That Tsuchikage also nodded and said, the same goes for the 4-tails and the 5-tails. Although the relationship between the two is not very good, and Old Purple is also very stubborn, I have already explained the interests before I set out, and I will not let you down at this critical juncture. The village has arranged a secret residence for the 6-tails, but since the death of the previous Mizukage, The three tails has been missing, and no one knows where it is now. Terumi may also explain their situation. That is to say, except for the missing three tails and the seven tails of Takigakure, all villages have already taken precautions against the other tailed beasts. The only question now is whether the leader of Akatsuki will take action himself. At this point, Anoki turned his gaze to Jiraiya. Do you have any suggestions for this, Mr. Jiraiya? I have heard these words of pain from the disciple named Yahiko. Jiraiya had a complicated expression and said hesitantly, I have lived with them in the Hidden Rain village for 3 years. I believe that my vision will not be wrong. Yahiko cannot continue to hold this idea. The problem is that the kid named Nagato has inherited this idea. The Raikage interrupted Jiraiya in a harsh voice. What we want to know is the information about the Samsara Eye. We don't want to hear you complaining here. After all, this is the trouble you caused, isn't it? Lord Raikage. Please pay attention, this is Konoha. Tsunade looked at the Raikage coldly and warned, then glanced at everyone present. We Konoha have our own way to deal with Jiraiya's behavior, so you don't need to worry about it. We are not begging for cooperation from you. Whether to give intelligence and how much intelligence to give are all decided by ourselves. Before confirming the situation of the Jinchuriki, don't you think you should consider whether Pain will give up their original plan if they really hold the concept of peace? Seeing that everyone's eyes were focused again, Jiraiya sighed and said, let me finish reading the contents of the Sky Curtain first. After all, I haven't seen it for decades, and I don't know if their ideas are still the same as before. In order to make the world grow, bring it pain. Is this your so-called mission? Jiraiya questioned, and the animal path admitted without hesitation, yes, because I am a pacifist god. Jiraiya was so angry that he laughed. He didn't want to continue this meaningless conversation. He directly controlled his hair to turn into spikes and pierce the animal path, but the other party dodged it with a substitute technique and appeared on the other side. Stepping on the head of a giant lizard, the beast looked at Jiraiya indifferently. In my opinion, you are just a tiny existence that will never grow up. Ha 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 ha. Jiraiya jumped up and shouted while performing the summoning technique. I didn't expect that I was looked down upon by a little devil. I am no longer a human being. This is probably the funniest joke I have heard in recent years. The leader of Akatsuki is a pacifist god. Hey. Didn't I tell you that the owner of the slaughterhouse next to my house is a devout vegetarian? How ironic. I learned it, tiny existence Jiraiya. I will use this sentence to confront him in the future. Pine, you are the challenger. Tears of blood and tears due to anger. The former three ninjas have now become immortals. The toad monster of Myaboku Mountain, Master Jiraiya. Wow. Jiraiya took a horse stance and got ready, but before he could finish his words, the big toad under his feet suddenly moved, causing Jiraiya to fall down in a mess. Looking at Jiraiya's unreliable performance, the animal path mocked expressionlessly, you really haven't grown at all, and you're still as clumsy as before. Asshole. Toad-ken, don't move when I'm being cool. Regardless of the animal path's mockery, Jiraiya was furious, holding a thorn harpoon and a shield, and said to himself honestly, I'm more useless. Tisk, Jiraiya is so unreliable, no wonder he is looked down upon by his own disciples. It's not that Jiraiya is so powerful that he can live to this age and be famous in the ninja world even though he is so unreliable. Doesn't it prove that Jiraiya is so powerful? He is in his 50s but still has a childish temper. It is because the teacher is so childish that he can teach a naive student like Pain. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.